welcome back. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me
Talon
again.
Sei in the house.
What's up, everyone?
Welcome back to the dangerous, stupid, irresponsible, foolish podcast. It's been like 3 years, I think, since we filmed an episode.
Yeah, I think I was not the last guest, but the one before.
You were.
So
we did 3 episodes.
We're keeping this alive.
And then we moved. God, a lot has happened since then.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know when the last one was with
Cousin Curtis.
Yeah.
Cousin Curtis on, who you got to see perform live.
Yeah.
Van Wild.
That was rad. Yeah, Cousin Curtis. I mean, I've never heard of him before. I guess he plays a lot of places out here in Montrose.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, the music was great. That was such a fun time. We can talk about that too. But
Van Wild, right.
Yeah.
So you were out last summer? It was over a year ago, wasn't it? When you first got your Storyteller, that's when we did the podcast.
Yeah, because we weren't working on it at the time. It might have been when I picked it up. I picked it up in February, so it hasn't even been a year yet since I've owned that van. Yeah, and I think we recorded in your office when I was just like visiting. We weren't even really doing anything.
Yeah, you were just hanging out.
Yeah, and then since then came back, did the full build and everything. I mean, I've been here a bunch now, but
you're a regular.
Yeah, so
got the frequent flyer card.
Yeah, we're gonna get the van stuff out of the way because
we have 10 minutes and then I'm done talking about fucking vans.
All right, we're checking it right now.
Okay, go.
So I'm out here to put a locker in my van, which we knocked out. You knocked out today. I was just filming the whole time.
I mean, you handed me a couple tools.
Yeah, and
so
then that was it. I was here for motivational support.
Mm-hmm.
But we got everything in the van right now. All we have to do is wire it and run an airline tomorrow. And then I might be doing some struts from Van Compass, the new rally struts, which I'm looking forward to. And then, unfortunately, it is like winter time right now, so I probably won't be doing a whole lot of van stuff, like trails where I'm going to really get to use the locker much. Could use it in the snow, but that's it. That's all we're doing right now.
It was kind of the only time of year where you and I both had a break in our schedules to make it happen.
Yeah,
and it's funny, even still, we had to do the install on a Sunday to really to fit it in.
Yeah.
But we got it knocked out. Tomorrow, I think Will knock out the wiring and everything on yours first thing, and then we'll do the struts and align it, and you're good to go.
A little bit of computer stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do some programming stuff. That's going to be cool.
Yeah. So that's the biggest change. I mean, we were previously filming the last video over in the other shop, and
yeah, I forgot we did the entire build in the other shop.
Yeah, we did.
We did the whole thing in the other shop. That was Will's first week.
Yeah.
Dude, so that was April.
May, June. Yeah.
Like right around that mid-April, end of April, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Because I picked the Storyteller up in, I think it was February 20th, and then I went straight to like Tahoe. I went down to visit Jason at Canyon Adventure Vans, and then I think I came here before I even lifted it and did wheels and tires and things like that.
No, I think you went to Van Compass first.
Okay.
Lifted it. Did wheels and tires, because when you came down here, you already had the wheels and tires on.
Yeah,
you didn't have
true.
any lights on. You didn't have any onboard air.
Yeah,
we did a bunch of.
We did a lot to the van that week.
We did a lot of electrical, I think, during that.
Yeah,
that go. But
shout out to Will because he killed it. I mean, the wiring. Like I love showing people the wiring that he did because it's just so clean with the bus bars and
he's gotten better. I mean, that was literally his first week at my shop.
Yeah,
and since then he's gotten better.
I met him on his first day. I think he came in on like a Tuesday, and I was already here. And
he's like, "Who's this dude camping in the shop? Like,
why is he sleeping?
Normal? Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Do you let everyone do this? What's going on?
No is the answer.
No, you're not even allowed in the shop. Stay in the waiting room.
Yes.
But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see every time I come back, or every time I have come back since then. It's cool to see Will. Like, I mean, just that first week. What do I know about business? I mean, we run very different businesses, but just watching him work and like get into the van space so quickly, like he's a master mechanic. Like he just tackled everything and just like maybe learn a few sprinter things here and there from you. But now I come in and he's just crushing it like every day. So
running the shop,
managing
the workflow, has to put up with me and my ridiculous timelines that I promise customers. And make it all happen. So he's been a huge asset for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad he's still around, and I mean I'll see him tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, he'll be in tomorrow. He'll probably jump on your stuff first thing.
Yeah, work on my van, Will.
That's right. I think he's probably spent like 7 minutes on YouTube total the last year, so he probably won't ever watch this video. But,
Nah, that's fine.
but it's cool. Any praise he gets is well deserved. He's absolutely crushed it this year for us.
Definitely.
So you had 21,000 and some change on your van.
Yep.
Today, because I looked at it when we pulled the gear set, and this is kind of the final round of modifications so far, right?
Yeah, I kicked off.
You say that, but there's always going to be something coming out. But this is the last like big chunk of upgrades that you're planning to do to it.
Yeah, for sure. I kicked off the video that we filmed. We did a kind of like not a technical how-to install, but a install video talking about a lot of the technical aspects of a locker and some things to know if you really want to know the ins and outs of how these things work.
Or you're just curious on how it gets installed.
Yeah.
The complexity of it.
Yeah, which I like. I mean, I've watched some videos on the new locker from Agile and everything, but nothing like the detail that you went into today, which is rad. Yeah. So I started the video by saying, you guys see me build vehicles on my channel all the time, and generally I'll say, hey, this is the complete build video, which I did last time I was here.
Yes.
That video did pretty well. Actually, I think that's my best performing storyteller video this year, which is cool.
Really?
Yeah, it did pretty well.
It's done pretty well for us.
Good.
Yeah,
I was hoping
with the
it
logo
did.
on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I posted that video, and I always say like, oh yeah, the build is complete, but I only count any vehicle build, motorcycle build, I only count it as 99% complete, because there's always something else you can do. You can refresh stuff and things like that. So I said the van is 99% complete right now, but with the locker, the safety shim, the safety spacer,
sure.
Now it's 99.1% complete. So I have like 9 more iterations until it's 100, and then anything after that, it's just refreshing the van. So
you've got another 2 years in that van, though.
Oh, easily.
Right. Easily.
I'll probably have the van for 5 years, like I had my Revel.
Okay.
But if opportunities come up, then maybe I'll get into something new. I don't know.
Sure.
But there's a lot of on the back of my mind, I always think about building my own van, which I don't plan on doing anytime soon. So if anyone watches my videos, don't get your hopes up. But with how I use a van now, I could live very minimally. I absolutely love my storyteller. Like, the power system is awesome. It's so comfortable. I could literally sell my house and live in it and be completely fine. But since I do own a home, I could really see myself rocking like a very not budget, but very minimal style build, like maybe 80-20, just like a little cot bed.
Don't tell Jason. He's going to get real offended.
No, Jason will be like, oh, I know how to build that. I know what we can do. But like, my truck camper is so simple. It has a battery system that you can put in and take out. The water system is a little Dometic 12-volt pump. And it's just very simplistic. And like, that's all I really would ever need in a van. Now that I have the storyteller, though, I'm doing long trips and I've been on the road. Like, when I first picked it up, I was on the road for like 2 months.
How many nights of camping have you done this year? Because I know you were keeping track.
Yeah.
So between the van, the truck, what else have you been camping in? Have you done any tent camping?
I did recently, like the other day, because I took my rooftop tent off when I was switching the truck to my camper. So while my tent was off, I stayed in just like a ground tent from Free Spirit. I have an Instagram account where I keep track. I'm at 107 nights.
Damn.
And that's like, I mean, camping, driveway surfing too. I kind of count that. Like, tonight will be night 108.
In the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the heat on out
You're
there.
You're like,
so
hey,
good.
can I run my heater? I'm like, why?
Yeah.
It's 65 degrees in the shop.
Dude, it heated up really fast. The new shop's so awesome.
Thanks.
Like, the studio up here, everything is rad.
I built the studio / my office with the intent of doing a lot more podcasts, and the summer just came at us, and it hasn't slowed down since. I mean, we kind of had a rough summer, honestly.
Yeah,
with everything going on, and
but good summer too. I mean,
yeah,
it's good to be
sure.
busy.
Massive growth, and the new building, getting all the infrastructure set up. We put 4 lifts in, an alignment rack, tire machine, balancer.
I mean, you're
all of the air system in the shop.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like it's been incredible, and we're able to do so much more work, so much more efficiently now with the right, the right space.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, at this time next year, like it's going to be so dialed in, like maybe another lift, different layouts, so your tools are more accessible, which
I
adds
think
up.
kind of what we're refining right now is really the ergonomics of everything.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good
Like
way
we
to
talked about
describe it.
another lift, we're going to put another lift in, so it's near a big work center where there's a lot of tools in one place. We don't have people carting tools back and forth.
Mhm. And now the whole old shop is a warehouse essentially.
Yeah, so half of it is the warehouse. The other half is storage for our garage club members.
Yeah.
So we rent the storage, and it's full service storage, and we're completely booked.
Oh, is it full over there
incredible.
now?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
It basically allows us to have a warehouse where we store all of our inventory off site, so we're not cluttering up the shop space, because there's no inventory out here other than some Mercedes service parts and like
items.
some consumable fluids and stuff like that. All of our product is next door. Then when we do a job, Carl, my warehouse manager, will grab all the parts for the next day's work orders, pull them. They're on a shelf. They're staged for the techs to grab them and unpack and install. It's so much more efficient.
So yeah, I was gonna say the efficiency is like key, because I didn't even really think. I mean, I knew you were gonna keep the old shop moving into this one, but you don't even have a space to put stuff here. You could put it down on the main floor, but then you have a whole bay essentially with just like parts
Shelves.
and
Right.
shelves.
That's what I wanted to eliminate. I hate the clutter.
Yeah.
And I think, what we would experience a lot at the other shop was you would have shelves lining the whole side of the shop. You'd be working on a van and then realize, hey, I'm short a part on this kit. I'll just take one from this kit that's on the shelf.
Yeah.
And then it never got marked that a bolt was robbed or a piece of hardware was robbed from it.
And then that's just a domino. And then the next install is like, oh, I'm missing that thing
so
that I
now
took.
it's like you have this positive control of inventory. So it gets checked in and checked out as Carl brings it over.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, having him on board has been huge too. I don't know if you've met Carl. You met him at Van Wild, actually.
Yeah, I met him at Van Wild. I mean, I've seen him around. We haven't talked a whole lot, but I know he started like a little after Will, I guess.
Yeah, a little after Will, and kind of came on board doing some detailing and shop help type work, and then just was really excelled at the warehouse management side of things.
Yeah.
So it's been incredible. He'll detail some vehicles as needed, but for the most part, he's managing the warehouse for me and managing Garage Club, and it's been phenomenal.
Have you talked about the Garage Club on video and social media post?
Not really.
So the clients that are there are just from customers that came in and you like mentioned it to them?
Yeah.
You should.
It's on the website.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the website, but I don't know.
You should talk about what it
actually
is.
Look at it. Yeah, it's a full service concierge van storage. So essentially, it's climate controlled building. It's fully secure. We have camera system indoor and outdoor on the building. During the winter, it stays 55 degrees in there all winter. During the summer, it's air conditioned, 75 degrees in the summer.
So you don't need to winterize. Van stays
Yeah,
plugged in.
You don't have to winterize. It's completely up to the client. Some people are going to go winter camping, so they'll have us winterize it. But essentially, you pay a monthly fee. We usually require a 6-month minimum, and then it's a 24-hour call out. So 24 hours prior to you picking up the van, you say, hey, I want to pick up the van on such and such date. We have it pulled outside for you. All the fluids are topped off. Tire pressures are checked. It's washed, detailed. Tanks are full or empty, depending on what you prefer, what you're going to do with the van. You don't have to think about it.
So people will fly into Montrose and just come straight here.
Or we have people that live up in the mountains where it's cold, but they want to use it in the desert. So they'll just drive down, grab the van on their way to Moab or wherever they're going, or Arizona. Yeah. Grab the van and hit the road.
I wish I lived closer to Montrose, because I would do that.
It's
like
convenient.
My van's winterized. It's constantly freezing, so like I turn the battery system off, but the pack heaters need to warm up. Like on the way here, turn the power on to make sure like everything was working, and it was good. But yeah, in the wintertime I'll use the van for skiing, but having a location where it's climate controlled and everything, batteries topped off, like that's so huge. So
yeah, we have a few clients, and they'll probably watch this video and they know who I'm talking about when I say this, but they really get their money's worth out of it, because they're dropping it off and picking it up all the time.
Okay.
So we're washing the freaking van like once a week. It seems like
Yeah.
we're always washing it, detailing it, but that's what the service is for,
Yeah.
so people don't
Shout
have
out.
to, yeah, so people don't have to mess with it. It's great when they drop it off. There's a key drop out front, so you can drop off at any time. Just park the van out front, drop the key, and then we check it in, wash it, detail it,
Yeah.
put it away. So it's completely hands off for our customers. And then if there's upgrades that they want work done, while it's here at the shop, we fit that into our work schedule. So that's our garage club. We also have the executive membership, which is a priority service membership. So you pay an annual fee.
Okay.
And then that guarantees you a 24-hour booking for appointments. So
Sweet.
no matter what, no matter how busy I am, if you're an executive member, we're going to get you in within 24 hours. So typically you see that with a lot of people that are traveling.
Yeah.
And it's a big priority to them to know that, hey, I can get my van serviced or general diagnostics performed or whatever the case may be in that 24-hour period, because time is money, time is valuable to people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that membership comes in, is it gets them to the front of the line. Because, we kind of get that people with Garage Club sort of, sometimes they think, oh, well, I'm in Garage Club, it'll be easy. You can just knock this out next week. Well,
you're not
normally
executive.
but normally we run about a 4-week lead time for most of our work. So it doesn't always work out. We try to fit it in, but it doesn't always work out. Whereas if you're an executive member, then you're guaranteed that install slot, which is pretty huge.
Like a butler service for a van.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, I need this done now. Like you're paying the premium. You're an executive member. Like you're gonna get treated like an executive,
right?
Which is cool.
Yeah. I don't think anybody else in the van space is really doing that, or the Garage Club for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of like obviously like the big storage areas that's indoor, climate controlled and stuff like that, but I don't know to the extent of like what they actually do anymore.
I know in the car world it's pretty common for there to be like car clubs that have beautiful indoor storage.
Yeah,
you have access to the clubhouse. You can
detailing
things like that. They'll take your car out and drive it, once a month to the exercises, what they call it. We do the same thing here.
Just to get all the fluids.
Yeah,
moving,
make sure
so
that the seals are staying moist and make sure everything's good to go. But we put everything on battery tenders, keep everything plugged in if that's the request, and make sure you're completely dialed in.
I got to do that myself. I mean, right now I only have 3 vehicles.
Only have 3. Man.
For what I do, like the vehicles are important. They're characters in my videos, but yeah, definitely very thankful for being able to, do what I do and have all that stuff. But like in the wintertime, I just got a whole like battery tender kit for the Supra, and I got to make sure that stuff, mainly that car, like I'll drive the van and the truck throughout the winter, but the Supra has a really small battery. It's a sports car. And
does it stay inside? Is it in your garage?
Yeah, that's the only thing in my garage. Well, in motorcycles, but yeah. Sure. The motorcycles have been super neglected this year. Like,
same.
I bet, man, half of them probably wouldn't even start. I rode my Husky one time, the 701 Supermoto. My Grom, the Grom that you rode in the past, I don't think I took that out at all this year.
The Grom that I was not wheeling in the campground.
Yeah, yes. It was me wheeling apparently.
Not me.
Did we ever tell that story? I don't know if we told.
I don't know if we told that story. That was Revel Van Rally 2021.
20 or 21.
20 or 21.
We were in Durango, like Purgatory, and dude, that was a great venue. That was a great event that year.
That was one of my favorite events of all time.
Yeah, great show out. We all were partying, having a good time, food and drinks and fires. Yeah. I had a motorcycle, you had a motorcycle, and at night you were like, let me go rip the Grom. I was like, cool. So Tim took my keys and was hooning around the parking lot, up and down like the ski lift hill up to the lodge and things like that. I wasn't paying attention, but apparently he was ripping wheelies like down
through the main drag at the venue, right past the event organizer, who was less than impressed.
Yeah, and he was like, he yells to Tim, he's like, "Hey, Talon, go park that," because it's dark out.
I think he's like, "Talon, knock that shit off." Yeah. And I just like, "Yes, sir," as I rip by.
And then I didn't even know this. And then I think he came up to me. I don't know if it was like the next day or if it was a couple weeks after, but I think he like apologized to me. Maybe he was like, "Hey," or the next day he might have said something. He was like, "Thanks for putting the bike away last night." And I was like, "What?"
But you didn't really get it. I think it was like 6 months down the road before it really came out that I was the one riding it.
So,
and Mike didn't know for like a year.
Come to find out, Mike, who was yelling at Tim thinking it was me, was like pissed at me I had no idea any of it was going on, but it was so
When in
funny
doubt,
when we
always
found
borrow
out.
your buddy's bikes to do dumb shit on.
Yeah,
That's
especially
the
in the dark.
moral of the yeah,
You
that's the
can't
moral
be
of the
seen.
story. I think I was wearing your jacket too, so I was totally safe.
Totally safe. You're just like 6 inches taller than me.
Yeah, it was dark. You couldn't tell.
Yeah.
No, same with my bikes, man. I have the MT10 in the showroom now, and I wheeled it in there. I went to fire it up just to listen to it run, and it wouldn't even start. So I had to put had to put it on the tender. I did fire it up the other day though, and filled the showroom with the beautiful smell of exhaust.
Gotta love it. I mean,
God, it sounds so good in there too.
oh, I bet.
Yeah, it was
Just
awesome.
bouncing off the walls.
I think I put it on a story. Put the video on the story, but it was pretty cool.
So your showroom smells like exhaust.
Race gas.
Your whole shop now is going to smell like diff fluid for the week.
Yeah, anytime we do a air locker install or a differential service, it smells like gear oil for at least 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, I've smelled
That was your
gear
first
oil.
experience, really? With
It was my first experience that close. I mean, I re-geared my truck, and like I know what the fluid smells like, but to be up there like filming, like sticking the camera in the differential,
quick smell my bolts.
yeah, I was like, man, this is pretty stinky. And then the bolts that what are they called?
So they hold the journal bearing caps on.
And then that holds the whole carrier in place essentially. You pull those out, and Tim's like, smell this bolt. And I was like, okay, dude, that is like potent. It like sticks in your nose.
Dinosaur poop, man.
Why do the bolts smell more than just the fluid coming out? Is it
I'm
like
not sure.
It's weird,
I'm not sure.
but yeah, interesting experience. I learned a lot about locking differentials today because like I was never hands on when I got my truck. Well, actually, I did a front locker on my truck.
Okay.
It was locked in the rear from factory, but yeah, it's cool to see all the moving parts and stuff. Because honestly, it's really simple, and it
Don't say that. People are gonna wonder why
No.
they're paying so much.
the install is not simple. So essentially, the rear locker simplifies the way the van works. Like
Right.
it sounds complicated, and it is. I mean, a lot of moving parts and things like that, but it's like basically turning the brains of the computer off and saying, hey, we're sending power here. It's doing it mechanically, so it's not.
You're tricking the computer into thinking that you're going forward down the road.
Yeah.
Because both wheel speed sensors are sending the same signal to the computer saying, hey, we're moving forward.
Yeah, but it's all mechanical, so it's not
Right.
really doing anything to the computer, but
Right.
it's cool. Nerd
Yeah,
stuff for you.
Yeah, I think that the van community is going to like that video a lot. I did one last year, I think, where it's called installing a Agile ARB air locker in 10 minutes, and it was kind of I literally did the install with one hand and then filmed it with my phone in the other.
That sounds impossible.
Dude, you should pull the video up. It's like a time lapse of it, just everything's in fast forward.
Oh my
The
gosh.
whole install. It was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
'Cause every little step, I'm like filming it and then doing it with one hand. But that video did really well. Like that sold a lot of lockers for us. People were really interested in it, and they watched the video and saw the complexity of the install and were like, "Oh yeah, like there's no way I'm going to try to do this at home."
Yeah, no chance.
And I think people really enjoyed kind of the technical aspect, which
Okay.
obviously I didn't have that because I wasn't talking through the install. Whereas today, that video we filmed, I talked through a lot of the technical stuff,
Yeah.
how it works, why we're doing certain things.
I think it'll be like a kind of like a slow burn video. Like it'll get like a normal lower amount of views to start, but that's something that'll sit on my channel. It'll be online for a long time. You can embed the video on like the locker like product page or
on
whatever
my website or something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just as like a FAQ. I mean, you answered like basically anything that anyone could ask, really.
Yeah.
It's just like very technical. So like if you're into van stuff, I think you're definitely going to like the video, but we'll see how it goes.
Don't tell people how long it took, though. That's the thing. Because when I book a locker install, it's 3 days. So we do 1 day to install the gears, run the air lines, and put all that in, and then perform 1 heat cycle and test. Then the second day is 2 more heat cycles. So you drive it at freeway speeds for 20 plus miles, get the differential fully up to temp, let it cool down completely. Do that twice. So that's the second day. And the third day is an extra day for insurance. So basically, if we go out and drive it at the end of the first day, and hey, there's something up with this, we need to change the setup, we need to look at changing the gears, whatever it may be, that buys us that third day. Everything pushes back, so that way people aren't screwing up their travel plans or anything like that.
I mean, 3 days is super fair because like we kind of lucked out and like we had the right tolerances on the shims and everything.
Yeah.
So we kind of did it
I mean,
all.
that differential install could not have gone smoother, honestly.
And then
it was perfect.
And then the test ride alone, I mean, you're driving for like 20, 30 minutes each way because you got to get it heated up and everything. So I think 3 days that's like textbook. That's what it probably should be, especially doing more than one heat cycle and things like that.
And, you know, in the normal course of a day at the shop, there's a million things going on. We've got more than just one install in the shop. So
yeah, you don't have time to go drive a van to heat it up 3 times. Like,
yeah, so there's a lot of other moving parts in that install, but so that's what we normally book is 3 days for it. But yeah, I think you're right. We answered most all of the technical questions. When I think about it, I think of all the conversations I've had on the phone with customers, technical conversations, hours of cumulative time answering questions, explaining how the install is done, the benefit of the locker and all that. We pretty much answer all that in this video.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked to see it come out.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Website.
It'll be out. Damn, it'll be out this coming week. I don't know when this podcast will go up, but
well,
this podcast.
If my video editor would get his shit together.
You.
God, dude. Yeah, me.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the stopping point with a lot of things, or the slow point with a lot of things this year with my business, honestly, is me. Just, you know, we've had, like I said, a lot of growth.
Yeah.
I had my sales manager leave us in July, right as we moved to the new shop. So I kind of handled all the sales for a few months until we brought Colby on board, which you'll get to meet her tomorrow.
Yep.
Our new sales manager. She's doing great. But yeah, just wearing a lot of hats at the same time as growing exponentially.
Yeah.
Which we had to do. It wasn't like it was an unplanned growth trajectory. Like I had all the wheels in motion to ramp up prior to the move, obviously to pay for the building and make it all make sense.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to see you, like, I mean, you take the leadership role to wear other hats, like from a business perspective. And luckily you can wear all the hats because you started this like from the ground up. But then moving forward, you'll find people who can wear those hats. You hire new people like Colby, and then your workload will become more manageable. The longer everyone sticks around, then the more sane you will be.
Yeah. You saying I'm insane?
A little bit.
Okay.
I think you're self-diagnosed insane a little bit.
Oh,
doing installs, editing, doing content, footage, things like that.
Yeah.
You haven't done a podcast since the last one because like
bandwidth.
You rarely have time to even do this.
I didn't do a YouTube video for I think several months, which is really bad. I mean, that honestly that hurts us a lot because YouTube is a huge driver for sales for us because it answers a lot of technical questions. It gets people really interested in what we're doing here. We're able to detail a lot more in depth what we do to a vehicle versus just a 15-second reel on Instagram or a still post.
Yeah, the reels are definitely important. I mean, I love Instagram. I should say I love creating things for Instagram. I don't love the way it's been trending, like with reels and everything. I like shooting photos.
Yeah.
I like looking at photos
Take
too.
like beautiful banger shots and spend a lot of time editing them and making a very creative, aesthetically pleasing image, and you'll get a fraction of the views as a crappy 15-second reel
photo,
a cell phone photo or a cell phone reel.
Yeah,
and it's frustrating, but
like you said, YouTube generally captures a more engaged audience anyway, because you think about how you use Instagram, you're just flick scrolling through, whereas YouTube, it's like, oh, I'm interested in this specific topic, let me click on it. The retention's way longer, which you can see all the analytics and stuff like that, but I obviously nerd out about that stuff and like try to figure out what works and what doesn't, because that's my side of the business.
Yeah.
So
when I think about it, you know, if I'm watching YouTube, I'm pretty intentional about it. Like, hey, I want to watch. I've got a thing for watching like people forging knives, Damascus steel, like kind of like blacksmith type work. I like watching that. So I'll sit down and I'll watch a 20-minute video of somebody making a handmade Damascus steel knife, or I'll watch a video about an OM606 turbo diesel, like a new turbo build or manifold, you know, machining a manifold for it, whatever it may be. But when I'm on Instagram, if I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'm either like at an airport or, you know, waiting for something, or I'm pooping. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
That's
Are
how
we
it
really
goes.
going to sell anything doing that? I mean, it's more of a brand awareness, I think,
Yeah.
than anything.
And that's important. I mean, you have to have Instagram too, because like you need to. Instagram is essentially like a poster on a wall. It's like
Mhm.
keeping everyone's mind on it, whether it's like subliminally or not. Same thing with ads. I mean, if someone searches for adrenaline and they get an ad, maybe they're already a customer, but they see that and it's like on the back of their mind, whether they scroll right past it or if they're engaging with the post and things like that. Whereas like a full length video, it's like someone went there to watch it. They wanted to be entertained or gain knowledge on it. So it's like Instagram is like a movie poster,
Mm-hmm.
and then YouTube is the actual movie that people are going to actually sit there and kind of engage with.
Right.
It's not always the case, but I feel like that's a pretty good like synopsis of how it all works.
I think I see it too when new customers will call, and Colby and I talk about this a lot. We always try to capture where did they hear about us.
Mhm.
And a lot of times people can't even really say where they initially heard about us, which is just saying that all of these different things we're doing are working, right? The
Yeah.
Instagram, whatever ads we might be running, all of that brand awareness type stuff is working because people know the brand, but they don't even really remember where it came from. They just knew, oh yeah, I know what adrenaline is. I know what they do.
Yeah.
And then they went to YouTube, and that's usually where it seals the deal because I'll get that every single day. We'll go, hey, I watched your video on YouTube for such and such install.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do this on my van?
Yep.
And that's so huge when it comes to sales because they understand fully what you're offering.
Yeah, that's a good, if you call it a problem, that's a good problem to have, like not the customer not knowing why they know about you.
Right.
Because it's like the ads are working, your Instagram posts are working, your YouTube videos, it's a combination
I think
of
generally
everything.
the answer is like, yeah, I mean, we've just known about you guys.
Yeah.
That's like usually the answer, whether it be they saw us at an Adventure Van Expo or Overland Expo.
I bet a lot of it's word of mouth too.
There's a fair bit of that too.
They're like storyteller owner going to any kind of like van event, and they're like, oh, I like your lights, and then someone's like, oh yeah, I got them installed at Agile Off-Road in Montrose, Colorado.
Agile Off-Road.
Agile Off-Road. I'm thinking about the lockers still. At Adrenaline Vans.
John, you can pay him the check for that plug right there.
Yeah, that's a plug right there.
Yeah. That's good.
But yeah, it's I think a lot of it's word of mouth too.
Yeah.
Because that ends up being like subliminal, like subconscious. It's like, oh yeah, I heard this guy got his lights installed in Montrose and whatever. So that's cool.
So that was over 10 minutes on van shit.
Yeah, that was about 30 minutes, but
Yeah,
it was more about business side of things than anything.
that's true. I like talking about business actually a lot.
I do too.
I love hearing from other business owners outside of my industry or outside of my specialty, if you will, and especially people that have been in it longer than I have. There's so much you can glean from that.
Yeah, and you and I mean, we talk about that a lot, like whenever we're hanging out too, just like, and even though what we do is completely different, like you're a install shop, you retail parts and things like that, and I in a completely different environment, but they work together because we can work together. I can help you, you can help me. I'm the same way though. Like I can talk about business all day, especially because my style of business can relate to pretty much any business because everyone needs marketing. Everyone needs photos and content and stuff like that. We were just talking about how there's a lot of media, marketing media that doesn't work like it used to. Like people
Radio.
Newspaper ads. Like, do people still pay for newspaper ads? Is that a thing?
We just had like a 3-page article published in the Montrose Business Times
About adrenaline?
About adrenaline vans. Yeah, the guy spent like an hour and a half here taking photos, interviewing everybody. I've had nobody come up to me and go, "Oh yeah, I read your article in the paper." Yeah, I mean, who reads the paper?
I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw a paper, like a physical newspaper. I mean, I remember like in the 90s, I'm pretty sure we had a newspaper delivered every day, but that's so crazy.
That reminds me, I was home for Thanksgiving with my family back in Washington. I've got a 13-year-old nephew, and dude, super smart kid, man. Like crazy freaking smart. Knows so much about football. Like he knows players' names, stats, teams, stats. Like the kid is super, super smart, and he just absorbs knowledge. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
But he was talking about something. We were talking at the dinner table with the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
So my uncle, myself, my grandparents, and everything. And my uncle was asking him a question about this one team. And he's like, oh, yeah, this team, blah, blah, blah. They went to the Super Bowl. And Lucky's like, well, when was the last time they went to the Super Bowl? And he's like, well, that was way back in the 1900s. And I was like, shut the fuck up.
The 1900s? Why do you got to say it like that?
Yeah, why do you got to say it like that? Like, now I really feel old.
Dude, how long until... Wait, did the kid say that? Or
the kid said that.
The kid said that?
Yeah, 13-year-old. I'm like, look, you little punk.
Dude. I guess, I mean, he's not wrong. Like,
all he knows is the 2000s.
Yeah.
I guess that's true, but way back in the 1900s.
Please don't call it that while I'm alive.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, no, man.
I'm glad I was born when I was. I have a lot of discussions like that with, I mean, people our age and stuff like that. It's like, grew up before the internet, had what we consider a normal childhood, riding bikes, nothing in our pockets, distracting us from like living life, hurting ourselves as kids on bikes, jumping out of trees and doing dumb shit. Now it's like that. Your nephew is so smart because he has a computer in his pocket. Yeah. He knows all the stats because he can get them right here in front of his face.
He was like, hey, I want to show you something, Uncle Tim. I'm like, cool, what do you got? And he's at the computer. And he's like, I put this video together. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, what did you edit it with? And he listed off whatever program they had. Mm-hmm. And he plays this video. And he had taken game cameras and set them up in the woods with like bird seed and stuff. Mm-hmm. So he had squirrels eating the bird seed, birds coming, like all these interactions with different animals. Mm-hmm. And he had cut all of these clips up. He had overlaid subtitles. He had named the different characters in the movie, put like a whole plot together, had music.
And like made a story out of it.
Made a whole story out of like the sinister squirrel and, you know, all these different animals that were coming in, like, you know, music building up to the finale and all that. And I was like, you want a job? Like, yeah, dude. My video editor sucks. Like, he doesn't get anything done.
Oh, that's
13 years old. And I was like, dude, when I was 13, we had just got AOL.
Yeah.
Like dial-up internet.
Yeah, 56K with the bidding on the noises.
Yep. And I didn't even use it because it was so slow. And I mean, there's nothing you could get your email. I think that was the only thing we did with it.
Yeah, I remember like AOL and like, dude, those noises to me are so nostalgic.
Yes.
I was really young. Like I had an AOL email address. I don't even know what it was for. Who was sending a 10-year-old emails? Like, I don't know if I was buying stuff. I wasn't buying stuff online in the 90s or the 2000s.
No.
But I remember like AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh, yeah.
And then you'd like get home from school, like hop off the bus, or I would walk to school sometimes. And then you like hop on and talk to your friends that you just saw all day in class. That's what I used the internet for back then. So
it's changed so much, man.
Yeah.
We're going to sound like we're really old in this episode.
Yeah, it's okay though. How old are you?
39. So hanging on to my mid-30s.
Yeah,
birthday.
mid-30s.
So, yeah, mid-30s.
Oh yeah, your birthday was just the other week.
Yeah, around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Happy birthday again.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. How old are you?
31.
Okay.
Yeah. So not too far off.
No, but yeah, you were a little younger when the internet kind of came on for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being like, I mean, too young to even like be in front of a computer to understand like what it was. So that's why like when I was using the internet, I was probably maybe 9 or 10. It was like AOL, Instant Messenger. Yeah. And like back then, the internet, from most people's perspective, was pretty innocent. Nowadays, it is far from that. Like it's just grown so much. It's insane. But yeah, to relate that to business stuff though, it's like you look at a 13-year-old kid having all these skills now, and he learned that stuff from the internet, and he can create stuff like that. So like there's companies, and this sounds like I'm knocking older people, which I'm totally not, but hopefully it like opens minds, is that if you think that whatever you've been doing for the past 20 years is going to continue to work as far as marketing or just running a business in general, it's not, because a 13-year-old kid can do something more valuable than whatever you're doing right now.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's hard to get, like, especially older companies, it's hard to get involved with them from my perspective, because I work with all of these brands, and I can tell within the first conversation if this business will actually understand the value that I can provide.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, it like I can see right through it. They're just like, I don't get it. I don't understand this internet stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to force myself onto someone. So it's going to, I mean, 20 years from now, it's going to be a completely different script. Like,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
Do you go and approach companies at all, or is it just people coming to you?
It's a little bit of both.
Because I would imagine you get, like, not to cut you off, but I imagine you get a lot of people throwing stuff at you going, hey, would you do a video for me and I'll give you this whatever bullshit thing that we're making and want to sell?
Yeah, it's a majority that.
Yeah.
I've been telling you this like for the past couple of weeks now when we're talking about business, not in front of a camera or on a podcast,
Sure.
but going into 2024, I'm kind of I've been turning what I do into more and more of a legit business. And going into this year, I really want to focus on the business side of things because,
Legit
like,
being a business, meaning you're actually going to pay taxes this year?
yeah, I pay taxes. Oh, I pay taxes and it sucks. I want to focus more on actually building it as a business. Like you said, people hit you up, they're like, "Oh, take this thing and review it. We'd love for you to review it." I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love you to do your job for free too, but it doesn't work like that. Like people don't understand how much money I invest in camera gear, the editing software, the time spent. I mean, my time is crazy because of all of the different projects I have going on, and then the value of providing it to an audience too. And I'm really selective with like the cold call people who hit me up with a product and they're like, "Oh, we want you to review this." I would only review a product if it's something I would, one, buy myself, and two, if it's something that actually like integrates naturally into what I'm interested in. Basically vehicles, outdoor camping, extreme sport kind of stuff.
Right.
Dude, I couldn't even like if I showed you my emails that I get through a day, dude, especially at night, I wake up to a lot of emails from China.
Yes.
And it's like,
Yes.
"Oh, we love for you to review this vacuum cleaner." I'm like, "What?"
What?
Like, "Oh, we love your channel and we think this would work great with your audience. We're looking for long-term cooperation."
Vacuum cleaner brand.
Yeah. Dude, I can't even think of like I just got an email about a vacuum cleaner recently, but I should honestly like screenshot or make a list of all of these things and just talk about them in a video because you wouldn't believe the shit that people offer me. It's so ridiculous.
Really?
And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll just give you the product for free. In exchange, you make a YouTube video." I'm like, "Yeah, but that YouTube video is going to a huge audience that you don't have, and that's the valuable thing." And that's what people don't realize. But
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a dickhead. Like I don't want to sound I don't
Right.
know.
I think that there's companies that see the value in that for their target demographic, their target customer.
Yeah.
And then there's other companies that just don't.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And that's fine. And like I said, like I'm not I don't go out of my way to like to pitch myself to companies. The companies like the question you asked was like, do people hit me up or do I hit them up? Going into this year, I'm really focusing on the existing relationships that I already have, specifically in the truck world with the anticipation of the new Tacoma coming out. A lot of people who watch my channel like Tacoma content. I love the Tacoma too. I do a lot of stuff with that. So I want to work on those existing relationships and kind of provide more value to the companies who already support what I do, just to make that lasting like business relationship even stronger.
Yeah.
Rather than just like spreading myself thin, saying yes to everything, working with like a bunch of different one-off companies. That's cool and all, but I would rather provide more value to the people who already appreciate and understand it.
Yep.
So
I would think it would be hard to make a living too, just doing a bunch of random videos on random brand stuff that you're simply getting product in exchange for your time.
Yeah, and a lot of companies will offer like affiliate codes, affiliate programs. They're like, "Oh, make a video on this couch, and when you make that video, if they use your code, you'll get 5% of the sales." I'm like, okay, but I know my audience doesn't want to buy a couch. Like, and I'm not going to be stoked on making a video on a couch. Like,
Yeah.
I need to, like I said, enjoy the product and like I want to buy it myself before I'll even consider making a video on it. Because if I just said yes and was like a shill, as people call it,
Yeah.
I'm going to be making a video on something I don't care about. And my audience who's like loyal, they're going to know.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Talon doesn't care about whatever the fuck
It's
this
the
thing
same
is.
with my vans, right? Like
Yeah,
everything I
yeah,
put
yeah.
on my vans, I pay for. Sure, I might pay my cost. I might pay wholesale for it, but I'm still paying for it. I'm paying for every single thing that goes on that van,
Because that's what you actually
and
want.
that's what I want on the van.
Yeah.
And sure, there might be some people that say, "Hey, can I give you something for this van?" And there have been times when I've said, "Sure, I'd love to put it on there," but it's the product that I would gladly pay for.
Yeah.
Because I believe in it. I think it's something quality that I'm stoked to put on my vehicles and represent something that I think is brings value to the community and that I would be happy to put on a customer's vehicle because I believe in the product, not because somebody gave me a free thing.
Yeah. I learned a lot about that between building my vehicles. So like I built my Revel first, and that was really my first like deep dive venture into overlanding. I at that time, like no one in the overland or van space really knew who I was. It was early on too. It was like when the Revel first came out.
2018-ish.
Yeah, it was a 2019 Revel. So it was like
Yeah.
I quit my job in 2018 and then kind of quickly transitioned into buying the van and traveling. So a lot of the companies that we talk about today didn't even exist. The parts and stuff didn't exist. So I spent a lot of money building that van, kind of figuring out like what worked and what didn't. And then long story short, you fast forward 5 years, when I sell that van, I'm now in a storyteller. That build came together so fast because I did all the research. I knew exactly what I wanted. And there were companies who like wanted me to run their product. And luckily I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm like, I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to go with X over Y because this is what I truly want to
Sure.
use on my van. Same thing with the truck. Like the Tacoma was, I never owned a truck before. So building that, I did have a lot of companies come to me and they're like, hey, we'd love for you to try out our product. And I'm like, cool, because I don't know any better. At that point, though, people know me in the overland space. So I was trying a lot of products, which was organic and it was authentic. I said what I felt about them. But now going into hopefully building a new truck this next year, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly how I want to build it. I don't have to refresh anything and like change out components because it'll essentially be like building the storyteller like we just did.
Yeah.
So I'm really stoked on that too. It's going to be awesome.
I think it's kind of funny. When you before you had a storyteller, you still had your Revel, but you and I and TC went camping.
Oh yeah,
Westwater, several years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years ago now.
I was testing a storyteller at the time. So
but you were still on your Revel and were using that primarily. But
Yeah.
the storyteller said, "Hey, would you test this van for us
Mm-hmm.
and give us your honest feedback?" And I remember that camping trip, and I remember we were putting the power system to the test, and you were kind of going through everything. We're taking videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the video came out, and it was not necessarily, "Oh, I love the storyteller." Like there was some critiques for
Yeah.
sure. And it's funny to see how that company has taken that and said, "Hey, this is just legit critiques. This is an honest review. We'll take what we want, learn from that." And now a couple years later, you're in a storyteller,
Yeah.
working with that company. They didn't get offended by that. They took it as constructive criticism and saw the value in what you were offering.
For sure. And that's why I love and appreciate storytellers so much, because I kind of took a big chance doing it that way, but I wasn't.
You could have burned a bridge for sure.
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna lie, and like I legit was doing it to help them out, and to be honest to the audience, like I think I made a video of like, I swear I made a video. It was like 5 bad things about the storyteller experience or something like that. And that's probably the video you're thinking of.
Yeah, I think it is.
And I ran through a bunch of things. I'm like, this is what I prefer in my Revel over this. And it was like some little nitpicky things, which I said multiple times. I'm like, this is just my personal preference. And then there were some things that actually went wrong with the van, and I explained them in detail. I explained how I fixed some of the things, but then I said, like, hey, this is the reality of van life. Like, I'm okay with dealing with these problems because I understand how my Revel works. So I was able to work through those problems. So that video comes out, and Ty from Backwoods
Okay.
hits me up, and he's like,
Hey, man.
yeah, he's like, hey man, what are you doing? He's like, I can't believe you posted that. I was like, dude, like that's just the reality of it. Like, I asked TC, because TC worked with Storyteller at the time. I was like, is it like, I want you to know that I'm gonna post this video. Like, if you have any red flags, like, I'll send it to you. You can watch it before. And he was like, no man, he's like, do your thing, be honest. I love TC for that reason too.
Yeah.
So made a video. If you look at it on the surface, you're like, wow, Talon's bashing this company. But then a couple months after that, we go to Baja, Mexico, park there in my Revel. Behind me is an NCV3 Storyteller, a white one built on the old chassis.
Okay.
There's only one in existence.
Okay.
And it's Jeffrey, the CEO.
Shit.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I didn't really know Jeffrey at the time.
Hey, guy.
And it was like later at night, I think they had a fire going, and I get out of my van and I talked to Jeffrey for the first time, and he was like, hey, I just wanted to say thank you for your videos. Because I made like 8 videos showing the lifestyle, talking about the van, just like showing the features and everything. But I was really honest. And even with that video of me talking about the cons, he was like, thank you for all of that. One of the things that happened was the mixing valve is brass. There's PEX going into it. And when that freezes, they can crack. It's not a great design. I talked to, I think it was Brent, one of the engineers. And I was like, hey, this is the issue that I had. I fixed it myself in a Home Depot parking lot in Las Vegas because like I needed water on that trip. And literally like a day later, maybe 2 days later, I think he called me or emailed me or something and was like, hey, just so you know, going forward, like today on the production line, we're doing it that way because you're right and that's a better way to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, a company that listens to...
You mean you didn't get that response from Winnebago?
Dude, I don't want to bash Winnebago, but I've expressed concerns with like build quality and things like that to them when I had that van, and they're like, oh, that sucks. Like nothing was changed, but the new Revels are a lot nicer than my Revel ever was, which is just how it goes. I mean, I had like essentially like a first generation Revel, so they've come a long way. I rode in Dave's Revel and Jason's Revel at Van Wild, and I was like, oh, maybe my perception of these is a little skewed.
They've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, definitely have.
I mean, we work on more Revels than any other coach. Yeah. And then after the Revel, we'd be the Storyteller.
It makes sense.
But there's just more Revels in existence, so that makes sense. But they've come a long ways. They've definitely improved a lot of stuff.
Yeah, just riding within those 2 Revels at the rally, I was like, oh, yeah, that it's way different than mine, just being loud and rattly. And I mean, I had 70,000 hard miles put on that van. I mean, I did stuff with the van when I like wasn't truly understanding of what a Sprinter was capable of. So I was like mobbing through Death Valley, doing dumb stuff and like just beating the crap out of it. And it held up great. I mean, maintenance and everything, but yeah, they're better now. That's what it comes down to.
They're definitely better. Yeah. You hear that feedback?
Yeah, is that a cell phone?
My cell phone's...
Maybe it's my phone in my pocket. I'll put it down here.
It's your first podcast or what, bro?
First podcast. At least the ringer's off.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you drinking, dude?
I was just going to ask you. These are the guys that came and did a wine tasting at Van Wild. Yeah.
Leno Dubois Winery. They're just down the street. Lee Leno and his dad own this company. And I think his dad started making wine a long time ago. Lee always grew up around it. And then Lee went to college for it.
Took it over.
And then they started, they took over this company, or he took over the company. They've got a winery just down the road, a vineyard tucked away right next to the canal. So they grow a ton of grapes. I helped him pick grapes one season. I mean, that was like a lot of work. So I kind of leave that for other people now.
You have a
I was like, it's
appreciation.
really freaking hot out.
I think some
I'm
people,
like, dude, you guys are killing it with this. You should keep doing that. I'm gonna go back to my air conditioned shop.
I think some people left Van Wild and went and helped them
They did.
with a harvest or something.
Tara Hall did.
Tara did, yeah.
Yeah.
She was the one who said it. And I think someone else might have went with her.
Like, yeah, we're gonna go pick grapes. I'm like,
I was like,
fun with
oh,
that.
okay.
I know what that's about.
Luckily, it was September, so it wasn't like sweltering hot or anything.
Yeah.
But
no, this is his wine. He brought it over. We had our company Christmas party a couple nights ago, and he showed up with a case of wine, like an assortment. So we have the Merlot, and
The
one of my
Cab.
favorites is the Cab.
yeah,
He's got all kinds of good stuff. So, little plug here for Lee.
I'm definitely not a wine connoisseur or a sommelier, I guess, as they say.
Wait,
but
what?
I've been drinking a lot of Cab, like recently.
Yeah,
When I'm not drinking whiskey, like if I'm just hanging out, this is good. I like
it's
it.
really good.
Yeah.
You can kill a bottle easily.
I mean,
So,
we pretty much did one already.
I mean, it was partially gone.
Yeah.
Let's- I'm
Christmas
gonna go with
party
that.
had a little
Christmas
dent
party.
there.
But we're gonna dip into the Merlot here in a second. See how that goes.
Yeah. That was cool though to have local businesses come out.
I like that. I liked having local guys
Yeah.
perform. You know, we had Cousin Curtis
Mhm.
come and play. We had the Neon Sky Band play live in the shop, which was insane.
That
Like a full concert in the shop.
that was a good move too. I forget if there was like weather or something coming in.
Yeah, there was weather, and they were like, "Hey, we don't know if we should set up because there's going to be lightning. If there's lightning, like we're gonna have to stop." And I was like, "Well, I have to pay for it anyway, so we're doing this in the shop. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna have a damn concert one way or another."
And when you were talking about moving from the campers hub where we were at down here, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like that doesn't sound like anything. And then we walked into the shop and I saw
Yeah.
their stage and I was like, oh my gosh.
Full on light setup,
Yeah.
stage, sound
Rugs, full
setup.
drum kit. Like
Oh man, it was crazy.
that was awesome. That was so
that
fun.
whole what we were coming back from the drive that day,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I got a phone call like when we got back into service, going, "Hey, the weather's shit. Like I think we're gonna go home." This is from Rusty at the band.
Oh,
I'm like, no, I don't think we are. I think you're gonna go to my shop. And so this whole shift of plans happened in like 30 minutes, and everything shifted. We had spread the word with everybody at the event, and so basically we moved everything here. We had double barrel tacos,
Yeah.
cater dinner, so they came down and catered. We had Pomona Brewing bring beer and cider out, so they helped with food and beverage.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That's what's cool too about like I noticed that your friend group and like the people that you associate with and support, they're all like local business owners. Like I would assume that most of your friends are business owners in some aspect.
Yeah.
The people that I met making wine, Campers Hub, the Panoma, like all of these people are business owners. So like I try to surround my people with I try to surround myself with people who are business owners because like you actually have meaningful conversations,
Right.
as opposed to like some people in older walks of life before you owned a business, maybe your friends from high school or military, college, whatever it is. I feel like you get way more like personal growth that way.
Yeah.
I moved to Denver and I would say like almost every single one of my friends is like a business owner or they're like doing their own thing, whether it's freelance photography or a legit business, whatever it may be. So that's cool how
It's also nice to be able to call your buddy who's a fellow business owner and just every once in a while you need somebody to kind of bitch at and go, "Oh my God, you can't believe this happened today." And then they come back with their story like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe this, this came in the shop." And then you realize like, hey, this is, we're all dealing with the same struggle. It might be slightly different. I've my buddy Nathan who runs Blackout Graphics. I think you met him at Van Wild. He does all of our vinyl work.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of our normal conversation. Call him on a weeknight and like, hey, what's good, man? Oh fuck, you don't want to hear about my week, and you get a little bit of bitch session back and forth, and you feel better, and then you're like, all right, bro, I'm gonna add some more work to your workload.
Yeah.
When can you wrap this van for me?
And you guys are dealing with like similar customers too, because it's in like the vehicle space. So, I mean, you have great customers, repeat customers and things like that. But every once in a while, I know when you're in like the service industry, especially the automotive service industry, you can get a nightmare customer and it's just like, oh my gosh, please leave.
Yeah.
Just, you can take your business somewhere and that's fine.
Yeah.
Making my life difficult.
I think the hardest thing to deal with usually is timelines. Just trying to meet customer expectations and and achieve timelines that work for everybody.
Yeah, and it's
usually tough.
It's hard when you, uphold your quality standard too. I mean, you have to be thorough with quality control and customer communication. Like those two things are just so hard to manage. I mean, quality control is a little easier to manage when you have the right team, like when you have Will here, who's really good with that stuff. But then customer facing stuff, like luckily I don't have to be in such of a customer facing role, so to say, doing what I do, because I'm a very patient person, but when it comes to like aggressive confrontational people, it would drive me insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how some business owners do it.
I feel like that's easier to deal with than passive aggressive confrontational customers.
Yeah, I feel like I could push off.
Like if somebody wants to yell at me, I'm like, okay, cool. You can just leave now.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to be passive aggressive and pretend to be really nice,
just like try to get the work done and send them on their way.
go away.
Yeah.
No.
It's crazy though how like customers are like that. I mean, it's like going to a restaurant and seeing someone who's like rude to wait staff.
Yeah.
Stuff drives me nuts, man.
Yeah.
Like
Have you not watched the movie Waiting? Like,
Yeah.
you know what they're gonna do to your food. Like,
Yeah.
it's happening.
They're doing the goat back there,
Yeah, it's
dropping
not
steaks
good.
on the ground.
It's not good.
No.
Even if I have a terrible meal, like I just don't go back there.
Yeah.
But I don't need to, vocalize that.
No. When I see that stuff, dude, you see it the most at airports.
Yeah.
Like airports are some of the most frustrating places in the world. But because I've traveled so much and I've seen it all, like I've been to the point where I wanted to like be loud and raise my voice and like really express how upset I am. Sometimes I should say most of the time it's going to be directed at a person who really has no control over it.
Yeah.
So like I really try to keep my cool as much as possible when traveling through airports, and I just like observe. I look around and see some dude screaming at the ticket lady because he can't find his bags and she's like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. Like, why are you yelling at me?
I think I've talked about this before. We live in this world now that's kind of like this Amazon Prime expectations across the board for everything. And so, whether it be service at a restaurant or waiting for your packages to show up or just waiting for your vehicle to get an oil change or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of expects things to be done that fast. And sometimes that's just not always possible.
I think now that you mention that, I think Amazon does definitely have like a big factor in that, because especially in the online retail shopping space, like they set that expectation so high. And not that it's a bad thing. I was going to say like I'm guilty of this too, but if I'm looking for a product, even if it's on a company's website, like I bought a new travel camera pack last night, and I checked Amazon before I ordered directly from the company just because it's so much more simple, which generally, like, if I know it's a small company too, I'll definitely try to support them directly first. I think direct to consumer is like my favorite way retail works. You get more of like a personal connection with the company, especially with small businesses. I love small businesses so much. Like some of my favorite products come from small businesses. There are some really big businesses too that make killer products too, but there's a lot of in between there too. I would much rather support a small business over some big conglomerate. But then there's Amazon, and it's like, well.
I remember when they kind of did away with the same day or next day shipping.
They did away with it?
Well, here in Montrose. I moved to the booming metropolis of Montrose. And there's like no next day. There's no same day. There's none of that.
Yeah, and then there's
You're waiting for a while. And I remember being frustrated. Like, what the hell? Like, I can't get my shit right away.
And then, meanwhile, in Denver, it's like I needed a rechargeable battery bank for this trip to like charge a new camera and stuff. And I ordered it like in bed last night, and it was on my doorstep this morning.
What?
It's like, dude, it's so crazy sometimes how fast stuff gets delivered. There's a lot of warehouses there too.
That's
so.
that's what's ruining everything for me then, because my customers in the front range just expect it's going to be done tomorrow.
Yeah, like come on, you can't install this
What do you
locker
mean you can't
in
do a
day?
locker and a lift kit and an alignment all in one day?
I mean, I showed up at noon. It should be done by 5,
Yeah.
right? That's how it works.
What's taking so long?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, you guys are going to watch a video of Tim installing a locker soon, and he did it in just the same amount of time that video took. 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Fast.
Well, there were a couple of jump cuts in there, but
a couple cuts.
just a couple.
Took a break for dinner.
Dude.
Took a break to sleep, and then
Yeah.
video editing magic.
That's right. What speaking of video editing, what are you using? I was showing you my new computer, my new MacBook.
Yeah. I'm using Final Cut.
Final Cut.
Final Cut Pro, yeah. Dude, I started editing videos. I've been editing videos for a while, like before the channel that everyone knows now. But I would say probably 12 years ago, I had an old MacBook, and I was editing on iMovie. So when I started my YouTube channel, I edited. I don't know if I've ever said this on video, but it's kind of a cool story. I edited on iMovie, the free, super basic editing software, from January 6th, or when did I start my channel? I think my first video was February 6th, 2016, all the way up until I think it was after I quit my job in 2018. So for like 2.5 years, I edited on iMovie.
Wow.
And then I bought a new computer, which was more powerful, and it could run Final Cut. And I was like, okay, time to learn something new. So I jumped right into Final Cut because it's also an Apple product. So the transition from iMovie to Final Cut Pro was easy, and now I edit in that today, which it was a good choice because, I mean, a lot of professional, like Hollywood movies are edited in Final Cut. Hollywood movies are edited in Premiere too. So
Yeah.
it's a pro tool, and
I think I already had the Premiere plan because I was using Photoshop and Lightroom for stills. Because way before I started the business, I liked doing photography as a hobby, and so I'd always take photos of, out riding, racing motorcycles, just the kind of exploring kind of lifestyle stuff that I like to do.
yeah.
That's what got me into photography. And then when I started doing the business, I was like, oh, I should do video stuff. I need to do video for marketing. So it was just easy to add that subscription to the Adobe suite that I already had.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think the reason I never went into Premiere is because I didn't even I was into video before I was into photography. I like photography now. It's just part of creating things. But early on when I was like editing in iMovie, I was posting cell phone photos on Instagram. Like I didn't care about dude, it was just like whatever. This is what it is. It wasn't even an iPhone. I used to be all Android because I came from the IT consulting world. I was all Mac, this and whatever. But I didn't get a Lightroom or a Photoshop subscription until, I don't know, probably like a year or two into YouTube, where I was like, maybe I should take a better thumbnail rather than letting YouTube auto-generate one from the video that I posted.
Yes.
A lot of my early videos are all just generated from YouTube. It's like they think, oh, this is the most interesting frame. I'm like, cool, pick that one, whatever.
Wow.
And now thumbnails
they can make or break. I think mine need a little work. That's part of what I got going on. I need to work on that.
It's the same thing with filming a video, though. It's like sometimes you'll knock one out and you're like, hell yeah, this is going to be sick. And then it just falls flat.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems like there's no rhyme or reason to it. You look at someone like Mr. Beast, most successful on YouTube right now, and he'll change a thumbnail like 20 times right after the video goes live, testing different. Have you ever seen that before?
No. So he'll post a video.
Yeah.
And then he'll just go back and edit the thumbnail, change it
until
it performs better.
Like probably when they post the video, he'll have like at least 10 thumbnails ready to go. So he'll post a video with the first thumbnail that he thinks is good, let it run for a little while, change a thumbnail to the next one. And you're talking like minor differences. Like the example I saw, someone did a video on it, like talking about the art of thumbnails, because it really, like, it sounds crazy, but it's an important thing on YouTube. he did a video about like lasers or something. The lasers were green in one thumbnail, and the other one they were blue, or the other one they were red, or he was like smiling, or he was like frowning, or whatever. And he bumped through a bunch of different thumbnails, and when you change a thumbnail, you can see when you're a channel that big, you can see the growth change a little bit
because it's all live. The
analytics
the analytics are live.
Yeah, so he would try a bunch of different things until he finds one that like has the spike of viewership or trajectory that he wants, and then that'll generally be the thumbnail that stays.
Wow.
And then another friend of mine, another business owner, Eric Banolds from Beard Brand. He owns like a beard grooming company. They make oils and stuff.
Okay. He
posted on Twitter a little while ago a video that was on his channel for like 6 months, and it was he has a barbershop in Austin, Texas, and it was about like this guy who had like a bad haircut and like a long beard or something, and it was like a complete transformation. The thumbnail said something about like a new haircut and whatever, and it was like the after shot. It was like, oh, you look so good now. And then he like changed the title and the thumbnail 6 months after the video went live.
Okay.
And it was like he posted it again. Like the trajectory of the views just went boop, and it like took off again because of the title, the search terms, the thumbnail.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
I've done that with a reel. Like we were just talking about that. We had posted a reel that did pretty well with a certain van.
Yeah.
And then I reposted it like on a Saturday night.
Oh, that was a repost.
That was a repost reel. That video had already been posted.
Okay.
So I reposted that reel with different audio. And the audio I chose was like a 5 or 6 second clip. And I didn't even realize that the entire video got posted. I thought I was just posting like the first 5 or 6 seconds. So I reposted. So the video goes up, you listen to that 5 or 6 seconds of audio, and then the rest of the 15 or 16 second reel plays with no sound.
Just silent?
Whatsoever. And that has been far and away the most successful reel we've ever posted to date. I mean, and we've gained thousands of followers on our
and you
Instagram
didn't know, you
that.
can't explain that.
And
like,
I have no idea why. I'm like,
yeah.
Cool, but I'm going to use Will Ferrell's voice again for sure for real audio because that was great.
Have you seen the new creator tools that Instagram has been like rolling out with different captions for reels? I think it's reels, maybe photos too. Have you heard about that at all?
No.
I haven't used it yet, but I got like a notification in the creator thing, and it was like essentially you can post a reel to Instagram now with 2 different captions. So there's like 2 caption boxes to fill out, and it will show like half of the audience, whoever they're showing it to, they'll show half of them the first caption.
Okay.
They'll show another half the second caption, and then you can like, I guess, see the analytics, and then after a certain amount of time you can pick like the more successful one. And I haven't dabbled with it, but it just goes to show it's like it's a real thing, changing little things that you think don't really matter, like that can make or break a post, which is insane to me. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, we've got to get an intro going for my channel. We were talking about that earlier. And you're like, I thought it was going to need to be this complex thing. And you're like, yeah, no, just go to Fiverr and like have your logo 3D animated and you're probably good.
That's honestly the best way to do it.
What?
Because like if you think about it, whatever it like, I don't know how much you watch YouTube, but do you want to watch a 30-second flashy intro every time you watch a video from that creator?
No, probably not.
Or do you just want like bump, 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 adrenaline bands?
Right.
And then go straight into the video.
There's a few that I don't mind watching. Like sometimes, Peter McKinnon, right?
Yeah, he has some good intros.
I just like watching the intros because it's such good cinematography. It's great B-roll. Like they're cool. They're entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. After about 6 of them, you're like, okay, just give me the actual video.
Yeah, and there's a sweet spot with that too, just from like an attention span perspective. Like especially with the way video content has been going, it's so fast paced with like death scrolling on Instagram and TikTok and things like that. So I would say like definitely an intro no longer than 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a long time. My intro is 4 seconds maybe, and it's just black with text on it, which I think when I get to episode 1000, I'll change that. I'll change the audio and like actually make like a cooler intro, more effort. But mine is so low effort right now. but everyone knows it. When you hear the intro music, it's like, oh, that's Talon's video.
Talon's video. Yeah.
So it works. I mean, it's worked for 7 years now, however long I've had it, but
yeah,
it'll change eventually.
So when are we going on this ski trip?
You tell me. I just heard that you guys are going to have a van community ski day, adrenaline van style.
Yeah, we did a kind of a poll on Instagram, well, on all of our social media channels, and basically made a post, and we're like, hey, do you guys want to do a shop open house, a desert meetup, or a ski meetup?
Yeah, I voted on that.
And it was like pretty resounding ski meetup was the request.
Yeah.
Which we've never done. And so I think we're going to do it in Telluride. The hard part is finding a place where everybody can park overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got a buddy that lives up in that area, knows the area, and he's got a couple ideas of where we could basically have room for, say, a dozen vans or so to meet up. And I think it'd be a lot of fun. I've never done that. Never done the winter camping with a bunch of friends like that. I think it would be a good time.
I see a lot of people in the van community and like the overland world in general post about things like that recently. Like, hey, I'm new to this storyteller. What do you guys do when you ski? Like, where do you stay and how do you store your gear and things like that? Whereas like a couple years ago, the winter camping trend was huge.
I think a lot of that got cut down because ski resorts kind of cracked down on it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they're like if you go to say like an Indy Pass kind of mountain, like any epic, I'll do some of that. A little more.
You don't want to blend it, bro.
I like blended ones. No, I don't know. I know
Lee, I hope
well.
you're not watching this.
No, he'd be like, yeah, dude, let him do it.
No, he wouldn't, because I drank some wine that he gave me for my birthday, like out of a red Solo cup.
Oh, it's a no-no.
And he frowned at me, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And he's like, try drinking out of a real fucking glass next time. I was like, all right, fair enough.
You Neanderthal.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people posting like how do you ski when you're in a van? I forget what we were talking about. The winter camping thing.
Yeah, I think I remember way before I started the business, I had a van, and I would go do early bird. I would camp overnight in a parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would skin up the mountain. This is like before skinning became a big thing at ski resorts.
So you
get, there was like a lot of resorts. Oh yeah, there were a lot of resorts that like didn't care. You could just skin up the mountain before they opened, and it was like, yeah, as long as you were done going uphill by the time the mountain opened, they didn't care. And so you could go to all these different resorts, skin up for free, get a run or two in before they opened up, and I would camp there the night before.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that is completely gone now. Like
yeah.
They don't allow you to camp overnight in the parking lots. Most ski resorts have like dedicated uphill lanes. You've got to buy a pass for it now.
Yeah.
Like it because it became so popular.
Especially Vail resorts. Like I know that if you skin up to the top, like you still need to have a pass.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. I mean, I understand it's probably more for like liability reasons, I guess, than anything. But at the same time, a lot of these resorts are on public land.
Yeah.
They're on like national forest land and stuff like that. So I don't understand how all of that kind of regulation stuff works, but it's definitely, I understand why people are asking those questions. Cause like I don't ski out of my van very much because it is hard to find parking and find places to stay overnight and things like that. I have an Epic Pass too. So any kind of Vail owned resort, like Keystone, Vail, Breckenridge, like you can't really stay anywhere around those places unless you pay. There's paid lots, like Keystone in particular. There's one area that I know you can pay to stay overnight, which I did last year, but a lot of small resorts welcome it.
Really?
Yeah. So maybe not so much in Colorado, I'm not sure, but if you go up north like Idaho, Montana, and things like that, you go to those like mom and pop style resorts, they want people there.
Yeah.
Because that's their bread and butter. They're just like trying to survive with these other giant conglomerates taking over.
Sure.
So they're like, yeah, you want to have a fire, like a propane fire pit in the parking lot? Cool. Have some buddies there. Like you guys are skiing here. You're buying lift tickets.
We might have to do it at a small resort then, depending on what the camping situation is at Telluride. I know Telluride's kind of a stickler for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because you really can't even park in town in a van.
What
they
about
really kind of frown upon it?
I've never ridden here, and I don't know the size of it or anything, but I'm curious how Monarch is.
Monarch, or I was thinking Wolf Creek as well. Isn't that a pretty
I'm not sure.
popular smaller resort?
Where's that at? I know it's Colorado, but
Yeah, it's sort of Wolf Creek would be like south of Salida, I think.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd be down to go anywhere. Like I said, I like supporting small businesses. I would like to ride at a small place too.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest Epic Pass mountain to here is probably Crested Butte, unless there's like a smaller one that I can't really think of. But
And
companies,
even Crested Butte is pretty huge.
yeah, Crested Butte's a cool town though. It still has that like kind of small town, not super corporate vibes like
Yeah.
Vail or Breckenridge has.
Yeah.
But I've only ridden there maybe twice.
I really wanted to do an adrenaline snowmobile trip out of the vans, but we have so few customers that take their vans to snowmobile. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's a little bit, there would be a pretty small turnout, whereas a lot of people ski. I would say like there's a huge percentage of our customers that ski in the winter, mountain bike in the summer.
Maybe do a Adrenaline Vans employee day.
Yeah, except I'm the only employee that sleds around here.
But well, get everyone else to come out.
Okay.
It's an employee trip.
Well, it would be super cool to go to the Grand Mesa because you can rent sleds there.
Yeah.
And then just have everybody rent a sled. And
I would do that
and
for
go
sure.
I mean, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I told you this earlier, but I haven't been on a snowmobile, like proper snowmobile, since I was a kid. And we're ripping through cornfields in Pennsylvania. It's nothing
Modern
like
day
here.
sleds are insane.
Yeah.
So much easier to ride.
I saw the turbo setup on yours earlier.
Yeah. You don't need to ride that one for your first sled for sure.
No, probably not. I'll crush myself and.
But they're so much easier to ride than I think my first sled was a 2013
Okay.
model year, and now 10 years later, by 2023, it's night and day on how much easier it is to ride. And I remember guys that had been sledding since they were kids, because I got into the sport later in life, but they were like, dude, the 2013 felt like a dream to ride compared to like a 2000 or a late 90s sled.
I'm sure it's a lot like motorcycles. Like, I mean, I grew up riding motorcycles since I was 16, and there's technology from, like, I think my first bike was an 04, and then my last sports bike was 2020, and, dude, it has, like, wheelie control and ABS and, like, all these different power selection modes, and it's just, like, it's like a car, essentially. It's a computer now, which is cool. I know a lot of, like, purists don't care for that stuff, and I'm that way to an extent. Like, I was really a fan of the old Sprinter chassis because there wasn't so much electronic stuff with all the cameras and things that could go wrong. Now I've definitely warmed up to it. I mean, the new chassis, especially the all-wheel drive, is great, but I'm definitely a guy who appreciates analog stuff too when it comes to.
I like certain things analog for sure. I definitely appreciate it. Like my 190D Mercedes project.
Yeah,
it's going to be completely analog.
That's
super cool. Like a very analog street drift type car. But then again, I love the technology. I like embracing the new stuff. Like my 450, my YZ. Like I can go to a track anywhere in the country, find a local there who's on another YZ, and go, hey dude, could I get your map for this track? And he can, with his phone, like Bluetooth me his map. That's set up for like that elevation, that track. Like if I went to like a local pro and said, hey dude, could you give me the beta on the best map for this track? He could just Bluetooth me that map. I could upload it to my bike, and then everything's dialed in. Where it used to be, you'd go somewhere, you'd like change the jetting to try and get it dialed in for that track. You know, you're adjusting like your
pull
gear
my carb
ratios
out
and stuff. Yeah,
nothing's
and
carbureted
it's
anymore.
I think I told you in the last episode, I have a Stark Varg on order. The electronic.
Oh
motocross bike.
yeah. We did talk about that.
80 horsepower model. Yeah. Still waiting, but they said ETA is now March of 24. So maybe I'll have enough money saved by then I can buy it.
Okay, that's not too far away then.
It's
Hopefully,
coming up. It was supposed to be December of this year. It pushed to March now.
Yeah.
But that thing will be, again, the next level of tunability because it's all electric, and there's infinite adjustability in where you want that power delivery, how you want the traction control to function.
Yeah.
And so I think that I embrace it on those sorts of things, but I also appreciate getting in an analog vehicle and just really feeling a part of that mechanical thing.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a lot too. Not the analog versus like new age stuff now, but I think we were both in agreement that I would adopt an electric motorcycle before I would adopt an electric car or van or truck.
Yeah.
And I actually, I don't know if this was going on at the time, but Super 73, the electric bike company, they're making a motorcycle. So I think it's called the CX1 or something like that. It's essentially like the size of a Honda Grom, but it does, they're claiming right now 80 plus miles an hour, registerable. So it'll be like proper motorcycle, full electric. You can use like all Electrify America chargers. And I think it has like a 100-mile range.
Gotcha.
So I have a spot saved to get one of those, which the updates are like few and far between. So I don't know when it's going to come out, but that'll be like my first kind of proper electric vehicle, if you want to call it that.
I've driven some Teslas. And ridden in some.
They're fun.
Teslas. They're fun. I hate the styling inside, and the exteriors. It's not really my style. They look the same.
Yeah.
But it's very impressive what they do from a performance standpoint.
Yeah.
But I've got a buddy here in town that runs Myriad Manufacturing, and he's doing a Tesla swapped Tacoma. So he's putting a Tesla motor and battery pack in a Tacoma.
Like third gen, second gen, first gen?
I don't know, dude.
Is it an old Tacoma?
I don't know.
No. Okay.
I think it's like around 2012, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so it'd be second gen.
Okay.
That's cool. I like those.
With big, mud terrain tires. It's going to be rad.
Yeah.
And I could definitely get behind something like that. But I wouldn't go out and buy a new Tesla because even though 0 to 60 is crazy impressive, you get a plaid and
you smoke everything.
Yeah, you've got, you're very consistent, like 9-second quarter mile, just ultra consistent. It's just a plaid, and anybody can go down to the dealership and buy one. Mm-hmm. To me, that's not cool. Like it's just I want something that's unique. So I could see putting that electric power plant in something else.
Yeah,
like a 190, an old classic car would be cool.
And then you built it. Then it's
then
I have appreciation
cool,
for that. Then
I would never want to mix like a Tesla with a Mercedes. I'm too much of a purist that way. I want like Mercedes with Mercedes, but
yeah.
But I could definitely get behind driving something that was electric.
Yeah.
If it was unique and cool.
We don't have to talk about electric vehicles much because I feel like we're both on the same page. Like, I don't really care.
Nah.
But have you seen the company Canoe?
No.
I think it's CANOO maybe. But they make these, it almost looks like a K truck, and I love K trucks.
Yeah, dude, I want a K truck bad.
I want one so bad.
There were like 6 of them at SEMA this year that were bitching.
Dude, the one in the Toyo booth.
So dope.
I think it was Attack the Clock Racing put together a 1998 Mitsubishi, whatever they're called. I don't know what that one was, but dude, that was one of my favorite vehicles there. Dude, so crazy.
But Nathan has a K truck.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, you want to sell that? And he's like, are you kidding me? That's how I get all the women.
Is it?
I'm never selling these trucks.
Is it registered?
I don't think so. He just drives it around the farm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think, dude, I've looked into this so much, and I can never get like a complete answer, but I think you can technically register one in Colorado if it's an antique tag. So 25 years.
Really? Honestly, dude, I don't think anybody in Montrose gives a shit. Like,
the
cops would
Montucky,
not care.
baby.
They don't care, dude.
And like, I understand around dude, I would honestly be afraid to drive one around Denver because people drive like
pretty insane,
nuts. But anyway, Canoe, they make these electric vehicles. They have like a K truck kind of version, and then that like a van style, so it has like a shell over the back. Okay. So it looks like an old Mitsubishi Delica, like the little squatty Japanese vans. They look so cool. I feel like that company's probably having a lot of problems, and I don't know if they're ever going to come to fruition and actually like deliver on customer orders that they have. But we'll check them out after this because they're really sick.
Yeah. Well, last thing on the electric vehicle situation. Mm-hmm. What about the Cybertruck?
Conflicted on it. Because when it first went, when did they announce it? 4 years ago?
4 years.
It was
a long time ago.
It was a long time
There were a
ago.
lot of people that put their $100 in, I think.
Yeah. I remember seeing the Instagram post that day. People were like, oh, got my order in. Can't wait for this Cybertruck. I originally, when I saw it, like, it was very mixed. You either love it or you fucking hate it. I was on the verge of like, I think it's kind of cool. It's so different.
Oh, dude.
You don't like it at all?
No, I hate it.
Okay, so in the initial renders and everything, I'm like, that's cool. Like, I like the kind of Tron 80s kind of like styling and vibe. It just looks crazy. And now that you actually see them out and about, you see videos of them all over the place, I'm changing my mind on them.
Really?
I think it's cool that Tesla's doing something so wild and different compared to a Rivian.
Sure.
But the more I see them, like, they're way too long. The proportions don't look right. The way they're stamping the stainless bodies, like they have to overstamp and then allow it to spring back to like be in the right shape. And because of that, you get body panel gaps and all this like manufacturing defect bullshit. There's like a lot of weird quirks that I've seen in videos that's just weird.
I will say I was really impressed when I watched Rogan and Elon on Rogan's pod the other day.
Yeah.
And Rogan's like, well, I bet it won't take an arrow. Like, I'll bet I can put an arrow right through the side of it. And they're like, oh, no, I'll bet you $1 it won't. And they went down like right then and tested it.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. Saw it destroy
Yeah, they just
arrow.
like took a break in the podcast. Like, all right, we're gonna go
Dude,
shoot an arrow.
That was so cool. Let's just do it right now. He's like, fuck it, let's go.
That is impressive too. Shooting like I think it was a broadhead too, maybe.
Yeah, with it, and that was an 80-pound bow.
Yeah, so that's 400
yeah,
feet
that
per
arrow
second.
would go like completely through an elk.
Oh yeah,
sure.
easy,
like, all the way through an elk.
Yeah, I mean that stuff's impressive, and like I haven't actively done research. Like I'm not looking for Cybertruck videos. Like I know MKBHD, big YouTube guy, does tech reviews. He reviewed one.
Yeah.
I didn't watch his video because I just don't care about it.
Yeah.
But some things that I saw, like instead of having a driving stalk to put it in park, drive, reverse, I think there's like a panel on the center, like where on a Mercedes the
sunglass
sensors,
sunglass holder is.
But on the windshield, it like goes down. So like to go into drive, you have to like boop, like press a button up here.
Weird.
Yeah. But yeah,
I
Cybertruck.
saw my dad get in my van for the first time. Like, hey, could you move this van out of the shop for me? Yeah, sure. And he sat in there for like a minute, like looking for where's the fucking gear selector.
Yeah. That was one.
I just kind of stood back and watched.
Yeah, that was one thing that I didn't like about the new chassis. Like when I was testing the Storyteller for the first time.
Yeah. I
was like, dude, it just feels like, I don't know, because I'm used to my clunk clunk of the old Rebel.
Yeah.
Which now I don't really care. Like it's fine, it works. I haven't had any issues with it, but the fact that it's electrical is like I would prefer that to be analog. I'd rather like an actual kind of linkage thing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I've kind of obviously been in the industry and like more on the cutting edge of what we can do with the electronics. I've just completely learned to embrace it.
Yeah,
you can do so much cool shit with it.
I mean, you have,
unless it's a brand new van that you have a new module you got to figure out like on a Friday at 3 p.m.
Yeah,
the customer waits, but
it's like this is all new.
But no, there's so much cool stuff you can do. So I've learned to embrace it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what we were talking about earlier. It's like if you don't embrace the new stuff, you're gonna fall behind. You're gonna be complacent. So like, there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, you have to embrace it. You have to learn. You have to be able to adapt to all the new stuff, and it'll be fine until Mercedes starts pushing these e-sprinters. That's not going to happen for a long time.
Not in the States, I wouldn't think. Not in rural areas.
Maybe a cargo van. Like
I just don't know what the range would be.
I mean, Rivian has that contract with Amazon. We have Rivian delivery trucks all over.
Yeah, I've seen those on the road for sure.
And that's cool, but I don't know.
What's the range on one of those, though?
I don't know. I mean enough to do a route, but
even a Tesla, like Younghwa, came through the shop the other day. She was on her way to Texas, and it was like there's a lot of logistics involved in trying to get down to Texas. It was like from here she had to go over Raton Pass, and then there was some supercharger in New Mexico somewhere, and then it was like a long stretch to get to Amarillo where there was another one.
Yeah,
like there were a lot of kind of sketchy spots where it was touch and go on the range, and I'm not going to drive it in like the fucking eco mode. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
No.
And like, it's cool that the computers, yeah, it's cool that the computers like can plan your route. But if you're doing long distance stuff, like speaking of adventure vans, it just doesn't work.
No,
you don't want to go the direct route to get a charge. You want to take back roads and side roads and stop here and do this and that. Like that will not happen for a long time. I would almost put money on that. Like a electric adventure van.
I agree.
I'm sure someone will make one out of like the new e-Sprinter, and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's an electric adventure van. It's like, okay, you're gonna go to Walmart parking lots to sleep and charge. And then what do you do after that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Not my thing, but to each his own.
Yeah. Huh. So what are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow we will hopefully be receiving delivery of rally struts from Van Compass.
First, I've got a bunch on order, but this will be the first set we've put on here.
Yeah. I've seen them in the wild now, like at SEMA.
I've driven them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, the ride-alongs. I got to check my computer later to see if I have the footage, but we rode along with Mark from Van Compass at the Revel Rally.
Same. Yeah.
Dude, and I mean, obviously it's a very controlled situation. Like their van's pretty light, and you're doing stuff that you never do with a Sprinter van, but he's pushing it to show like, hey, this is what something like this is actually capable of. And
Certainly.
I was holding on for dear life. I was like, oh shit.
My complaint with ride-alongs like that, because I would never drive my van like that.
Yeah, especially
my
built
complaint
out.
is always like, you can do it for sure. Mm-hmm. We do more agile suspension than nearly anything else. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fantastic product. Obviously, I put it on all my vehicles, but you can drive it just like that, just like the Rally Strat. But would I ever drive my $250,000 van like that? No fucking way, man. But it is impressive to see what they've done with suspension technology and what you can do. I just feel like sometimes it's a little bit the wrong impression to give a customer. Mostly that comes from me on the service end of things, because I got to fix all the stuff that people break. Mm-hmm. And when it's just from blatant abuse and neglect, you're like, come on. Yeah. Especially if it's induced from a marketing strategy.
All of this,
I get it.
All the new suspension that is like pre-runner-ish style.
Pre-runner?
Yeah, pre-runner.
It's a 10,000 pound van. Dude.
Yeah.
What are we pre-running here?
Like all this stuff, it's super impressive, and it's really cool that you can do that stuff. But there's only a select few people who will actually, I mean, everyone will benefit from it. It's definitely a better setup than the stock Mercedes Sprinter chassis. Sure. But I'm never going to use this suspension that we're going to put on to its full potential. It's nice knowing that it's there. It's kind of like having the locker. Mm-hmm. Do I need a rear locker? No.
You need it.
But it's nice that it's there. You need it. Everyone needs it. Do you need a winch? No, but it's nice to have. It's like
you don't need it until you need it.
Yeah, and when it comes to like suspension stuff too, it legit has a good place. Like someone pulls out in front of you and maybe you have to dip off the side of like a shoulder, like it's gonna save you in situations like that.
It's gonna give you a lot of ride comfort when you are off-roading.
Adjustability is nice.
The adjustability is nice. Yeah, I mean, it is a great product, and I think that a lot of people are really gonna like them.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily subscribe to the abuse my stuff mentality, but
I would say that most companies agree with that too.
Yeah.
Like, I can drive my van how we were driving in Van Compass's van, but I have cabinets and plumbing and electrical. Like,
I mean, the reality is like, hey, look, you're driving a 10,000 pound vehicle with 5 inches of travel in the front, maybe 8 in the back on a good day.
Yeah.
Solid rear axle. Like, you're not really getting that extreme with it. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But it'll make, I would say that like some of the stuff that we do from time to time definitely kind of pushes the envelope of sprinters
Van
within
Wild
Van
kind
Wild.
of driving. Yeah.
After Van Wild, actually, our trip to Moab.
That was the what do we call that? We had no civilians. That's what Dave calls them.
No
civilians allowed.
UTA.
Only industry people. The UTA trip.
UTA trip.
Utah Territorial Agreement.
We had me, you, Jason, Dave, John, Chad, 6 vans.
Oh yeah, Chad was there. That's
yeah,
right. Dude, that was awesome.
And we hit a lot of good terrain. We ran rim rocker from here all the way to Moab, essentially.
Well, we ran it all the way to what's that reservoir we stayed at?
Well, I think it's still considered Rimrocker after that, isn't it?
For part of it, and then we branched off and we went the other way around the LaSalle's.
Yeah.
Because Rimrocker goes to the south of LaSalle's. We went to the north.
And then, we came around the back, dipped into Fisher Valley. But all that to say, a lot of varying terrain. Some of that terrain was like wide open, no one around, Forest Service roads. And we, all 6 sprinters, were hauling ass. Like, to a point where we're kind of like, we're like skirting the edge of our tire grip. And, oh, man, it was so fun. That stuff's so hard to capture on video, too. Like, I love those videos. I loved making those videos. It was such a fun, like, 3-day trip, but it doesn't fully show through on content like that. You can you got to live in the moment more than you're holding up a camera. So
you do. The best moments when it was the sketchiest. It's not like you had your camera out and ready at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, that was insane. Did you catch it? Nope, I didn't.
The one time I did do that, I got my van stuck.
Yeah, what was up with that? I forgot.
So you took the first line.
Yes.
Down like the rocky off camber. I see your back passenger come off the ground, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a little tippy looking.
That's sketchy. Let's go to where I'm gonna for sure get stuck."
Chad, it was you and then Chad and then me. So Chad's going down a little less rocky line, but I couldn't see in front of him. There's a big, dirty Moab washout with the Moab silty sand stuff. Yeah. So I'm bumping down this thing, pick up my camera off my passenger seat, and I'm like looking, like trying to look through the camera and through the windshield and everything, and then he makes a hard turn to cut around the wash that I got stuck in, and then by the time I like hit stop record and set my camera down, my front left tire already like sank into it, and I was like, shit. And then I like tried to scoot, and it just kept getting worse and worse, and then hooked to Chad's bumper and winched myself off of him. But
that was fun. It was a good time.
That was a great time. I hope we do that again this year. We can.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
I think we're going to maybe do a spring. What's the deal that Dave's trying to plan?
I don't know. I didn't ask too many questions because I like being.
It's Dave. I mean,
he'll tell me.
Unless you got a couple hours to set aside for a phone call.
He'll tell me something today, and it'll be different in a couple hours
Here's
from
the
now.
Deal,
so
here's the deal. I got to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Like, he has to come on the podcast.
It'll be a 5-hour podcast.
Oh, God.
A lot of Mickey Ultras.
Like, we're just going to have a 99 pack of Michelob Ultras.
96 pack.
96 pack.
Oh, man. You're going to need to get a fridge in this office. You got a fridge behind your desk?
No, but I could put one under here.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Just for Dave.
We have so many beer fridges in the shop. Have you seen them? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have like 3.
You have
beer fridges.
Yeah. Full-size fridges.
Employees are definitely a fan. One of my guys is he used to own a company building brewing equipment, so he's like big on the craft beer thing.
Okay.
So he was like super offended the first week he started working, because I'm all about having a beer. 5 o'clock, all right, everybody have beer. Let's
But it was
clean up
not
the shop.
good beer.
Yeah, so like I'm like, hey, grab a beer. Modelo, it's like the beer of choice, or I'll do MGD on occasion, or maybe Corona, whatever. Okay. It's cheap. It's good.
Yeah, family beer.
And I gave him a Modelo, and he's like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, it's free, cold, and in your hand. I don't know why you're complaining right now. He's like, I like Voodoo Ranger. He's like, good for you.
Okay, dude, go drink your $15 beer.
Yeah.
Bro. No.
So for the Christmas party, I did buy him like a box of the Juice Force Voodoo Ranger.
Okay.
He came up and gave me a big hug. Oh, you do love me.
Like 11% beers.
Dude.
Just like ripping shots.
I'm like, I don't want you like drunk driving home. I want you to just have a beer at work.
Yeah. Just enjoy your days complete and relax, not get hammered after one.
You don't need to get hammered.
I'm glad I never loved drinking beer. I've had a bunch of different beers, but I am definitely not a beer drinker, and I'm kind of glad I never did.
Yeah.
There's so many freaking options and choices with microbreweries and IPAs and all this shit that tastes like fucking pine cones. I'm just like, ugh.
Well, especially where you live, like Front Range, Colorado.
Oh, dude, it's so hip.
Every
it's so hip.
So hip. Golden. And,
yeah. I like going to breweries. Spots. The breweries are great. Great atmosphere. A lot of drinking games, like giant Jenga. Generally, oftentimes good food.
Okay.
But yeah, just never been a big beer guy. Big wine guy now though.
Yeah,
stuff's great.
Lino Dubois right here.
Lino Dubois.
The Merlot is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I like cab generally because it's. I mean, I started drinking whiskey. Like that was my go-to for a while. Like the dry. Because I drank whiskey, I like the dry cab. But this is like a little sweeter. I think this is actually easier to drink.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little sweeter. But again, I know nothing about wine, so
It'll get you drunk.
yeah. 13.5% by volume. No, it's probably the same.
12.9.
12.9.
12.9. It's cool though. We should go. Actually, a lot of our customers go down there because they're a Harvest Host location.
Oh,
So
perfect.
you can camp there the night before your installs, and then you just go buy a bottle of wine or do a wine tasting or whatever it is.
Sweet.
And then stay for free, and then come over here for installs because we don't have overnight camping in the parking lot here.
Yeah.
So you either go here or go down to Campers Hub, just down the road the other direction, and stay.
That's cool.
It's cool because so many people come in and they've got like bottles of wine in their van, and they're like, "Dude, that place was awesome." But it's really cool. Lee's likes to nerd out about it. So if you go down and he shows you the actual room where they bottle it and everything, it's pretty impressive. There's a lot more to making wine than I ever had any idea. A lot more science behind it.
Oh yeah.
I thought you just kind of smashed some grapes and kind of let them sit for a while.
That's what I thought too.
No, it's super involved.
Yeah, the fermentation and like just measuring of everything. It's
and every so many hours, like on the dot, you got to go down there and like smash down the grapes. Blend it up, get I don't know, add more oxygen or something. I don't know.
we probably sound like idiots
really,
talking about it.
I'm gonna just stop talking now.
Talking outside of our wheelhouse. That's okay though.
For sure.
Can't always talk about Sprinter vans.
God no. What else? What else do you want to talk about? We talk about vans and cars and stuff. You got any new guns?
Vans,
any new
cars.
Knives? Anything cool on the EDC side of things?
Not really.
You can't really talk about guns on YouTube anymore.
Yeah, that whole thing. I mean, I haven't posted a gun video in 6 months because it's just like I was doing them pretty inconsistent. Well, when I got like struck by YouTube, got removed from the partner program, like banned from monetizing videos, happened once and then happened again like the next year. That's when I was like, okay, I need to like just focus on what I actually want to do because I love guns. I mean, I grew up around them, hunting and things like that. The reason I'm into guns is because I like the engineering behind them, how things work and things like that. I love the show, how it's made. I find that shit so fascinating.
I like to smoke a bunch of weed before going to bed and then just watch how it's made videos on all kinds of stuff.
That's how you make a surfboard?
That is so cool, bro.
Oh, peeps? Wow. Now I know how peeps are made. But that's why I originally really liked guns. And then the more you get immersed in learning about them, the more you get into the political side of things and self-defense and training and this and that. So I ran that course of learning experiences for myself and things like that. And then all the YouTube drama happened. I moved all the videos to a channel of its own. I was consistent with posting on my main channel and that channel for a little while. And then it got to a point where the videos were getting demonetized. Gun companies don't understand marketing and business and how much like time and effort that takes. So none of my videos were ever paid. Like I was not paid by any manufacturer to make a video. So I'm spending money on sometimes guns and the optics and things to make the videos happen. Ammo specifically, super expensive because I'm shooting 500 plus rounds of video. And then I'm not making any of that money back because the videos are demonetized. So I didn't enjoy it at that point. It was just like wasting a lot of my money that could go towards other more important things that I prioritized. And so fast forward to now, it's been 6 months since I posted a video over there. And whenever I go back and check on the channel to like read comments and stuff like that, there's always a new video that's been removed. My channel has I think I might have a strike on the channel right now, which generally means you can't post for a week, which doesn't matter to me because I'm not posting there anyway. But after 3 strikes, your channel gets removed entirely. So it's
deleted forever?
Deleted forever, yeah.
Wow.
Luckily, I save all of my completed video files, so I could always upload them somewhere else, but it's just not worth it for me. Like, unless I had a dedicated sponsor that would support what I do for me to even break even on buying ammo and like trips to the range every week to film videos like that. It's just not worth my time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Do you get to shoot much at all anymore?
I haven't shot since that last video that I filmed. I took a new Beretta released a new 92. It was a kind of weird gun. It was like a single action only 92.
Mm-hmm.
They actually they asked me if I wanted to review it because they were like there was some relation to like Jeep owners or like overlanding. I forget what the pitch was, but
Okay.
I was like, okay, I haven't made a gun video in a while. I was like, sure, I'll check this thing out. And that was the last time I went to the range.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely out of practice from my normal. Like I mean, I used to train a lot, like CCW classes, live fire, force on force, like all kinds of stuff. Medical training. I'm TCCC certified, like time and time again with like it's tactical casualty combat care for anyone who cares. Tourniquets, wound dressing, stuff like that. Like I'm very trained for just a normal civilian, no military law enforcement experience, but it's just not what I'm into anymore.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
I don't shoot much anymore either, mostly just due to time constraints.
Yeah.
We've got great places to go shoot here
Mhm.
and lots of hunting. I would love to go hunting again. I used to hunt a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'd love to go elk hunting. Just a matter of like, taking a week off in the middle of October or November is freaking hard for me.
Yeah.
But I did go shooting it for Thanksgiving when I was home visiting my family in Washington. My dad and I went out and we took my little nephew, the one I was telling you about that was doing the video editing.
Yeah.
And he was out there holding the phone, taking videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, you ever shoot guns? And he's like, he had his BB gun. He's
Uh-huh.
like, no, never a real gun, just my BB gun. I was like, okay, well, you want to shoot a gun? Does your dad care if you shoot a gun? And he's like, I don't think so. I was like, all right, well, here, let's learn how to shoot. So it was pretty cool,
Yeah.
watching him shoot a rifle for the first time. And then, so he shot my, I've got a Rock River Arms SBR
Oh, cool.
that we were shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Chambered in 5.56.
It's short too, isn't it? I think
Super
I saw
short.
that before. Yeah.
It's in my house, but
Yeah.
it was, so he had a lot of fun shooting that because there's no recoil or anything.
Yeah.
And it's a fun gun to shoot. And I was like, do you want to shoot my pistol, my Glock? He's like, okay. So I'm helping him hold it, and I was like, all right, you need to hang on to this thing tight, right? And when slowly squeeze the trigger, and you got to hang on to it because it's going to jump at you a little bit.
Mhm.
So he shot one round and it jumped back and like dinged him in the hat brim,
Oh, no. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. I'm okay. I was like, all right, you want to shoot it again? No,
Yeah.
I'm good. Kind of scared him a little bit, but I think he'd shoot it the next time I was up there for sure. But
Yeah.
it was cool to teach him that and get to watch him try something new.
That's what I liked about making like gun videos early on, because at the time, like, I mean, I started making gun videos 6 years ago, maybe was the first time I made one. I took my like normal vloggy editing style and made a review about a gun, which like at the time wasn't really a thing. Like people weren't putting music to the videos. There wasn't any, like, not that my editing was ever fancy. It still isn't to this day, but it was like more cut up jump cuts and like different camera angles and stuff like that. Where at the time, a gun review on YouTube would be like a dude with his hands, like a top down on a table. This is the new Beretta 92 XI, whatever. Maybe some shooting footage in there. So I feel like what I was doing at the time was very different from everything else. Now you look at gun videos today and they all have that like more updated style with music, nice editing, like text overlays, and
Right.
it changed a lot. But early on, having that style for firearm content was very different, and it brought in a lot of people who were previously not comfortable around guns, because you have some like hardo operator military guy like talking in terms that they don't understand, and it seems like very serious. It's not very welcoming. And then there's me, just some fucking dude with a beard. I'm like, yo, this thing shoots really nice, and this is why I like it. Like, just how I talk like normally. And that's why those videos were like so successful early on. I'm sure they would still do well today, because a lot of people still only know me for gun stuff. Like, it's crazy how many times like I'll get recognized somewhere and They're like, "Oh, you're that Sunday Gunday guy," and I'm like, "Holy shit!"
That's funny.
That was like
I
from
never knew
years
you
ago.
as a gun guy.
Yeah,
I was always
which
a
I
van
like.
guy. But then somebody was like, "Oh yeah, he's like big into guns," and I was like, "Really?" Like,
Yeah,
I never would have known. I like to shoot. I'm not like a big gun nut or anything. I've got a bunch, but
yeah,
I don't shoot a lot.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I would have considered myself like a gun guy years ago, but then when it comes to like content creation too, you kind of get pigeonholed into one category, and I hate that.
Yep.
That's why I call like my videos, I titled them Stuff and Things,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to be known for just one thing. And for a while there, people only looked at me as like, "Oh, you're that gun guy on YouTube."
Right.
And I'm like, "Yeah, but I like review pocket knives and flashlights, and I like camping and traveling, and I'm an actual person. I'm not just like dude spitting out gun specs and shit like that."
Yeah.
So
So the locker video that'll be on Stuff and Things.
yeah, that'll be
Yeah.
on Talon Sei on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll. I don't know. I don't know when I'm not going to say I'll never post on Sunday Gunday again, but with the demonetization and strikes, like it would have to be something I'm so stoked on
Yeah.
to have to make a video on it. Dude, I'm capped out on guns. I have everything I've ever wanted, and there's nothing that excites me anymore. There's not much innovation in the gun world for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
You get a new cool optic or something every once in a while, or some new like weirdly engineered gun that has super low recoil or something, but I mean it's all relatively the same.
Right.
But
My dad does a lot of CNC work for us. You know, builds our rear door emblems and some spacers and just various bits and pieces. You know, but I actually called him yesterday to see about getting another run of parts going. And I'm like, "Hey, what's your timeline on another set of door emblems or whatever it was?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm booked up for the next 2 weeks." I'm like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I won that contract for the optics holder." And it's like this tiny little part for some kind of sport shooting gun, but it holds a specific optic. And the guy ordered like 250 of them.
oh, so it's like a plate to mount it.
So it's like a little plate that mounts it to the gun, and then they anodize it, and it mounts it holds one specific optic.
Okay,
to the
yeah,
gun.
that's cool.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, it's cool to see his little business, pick up different. I mean, he's got that. He does van stuff for us.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of stuff for remote controlled boats, like remote controlled hydroplanes. He builds like turn fins and
It's like little parts,
motor
too.
mounts, like tiny little billet aluminum pieces and stuff.
Nice.
Just custom door hinges for his 1929 Model A Roadster that he's restoring.
Okay.
Like, you can't buy them, so he's like, "Oh, I'll just make my own."
That's cool.
Cool stuff like that. But
So you have CNC machines and stuff. Oh yeah, that's how your emblems are made, I guess.
yeah.
Cool.
I'm always trying to find new stuff for him to make.
I mean, he made the tools that we use today to install the locker.
The air locker.
Yeah.
Which, we didn't even have to use the removal tool because that install went so quickly. But
Yeah.
just having the right tools, like you saw, having all the tools I had set out on that card. I don't know if you videoed any of that stuff I had set out ahead of time.
Well, you had them laid out like very meticulous.
So I know exactly which tools we need for that install. So I put them all in the cart, and then I've got another cart with all of the parts laid out ahead of time.
Yeah.
So when I go to do the install, everything is there. I don't have to change a socket on multiple ratchets. I have a ratchet with each socket set up on it, or in each impact gun, or torque wrench, or whatever it may be.
And you have that cart still set up because you're going to do another one tomorrow.
You have another one tomorrow, so it's just ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, having the right tools makes such a difference.
Definitely. Yeah, same thing when it comes to making videos too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I go through camera gear all the time, like trying to perfect and redefine what makes my workflow work best without like sacrificing the quality that I have now. But I'm trying to increase my workflow, making it easier on myself.
Well, do you want to mention what camera you used to shoot that video today?
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to make a few videos with it and post them on my channel without even like mentioning it, because I'm curious if the people who watch my videos will be
Even
like,
notice.
yeah, I'm sure some people will be like, this looks a little different, but I'm curious if they'll comment on it. So instead of bringing my normal big expensive camera rig out here, I was shooting on a Canon R5 with a bunch of different lenses. I picked up a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which is a tiny little 1-inch sensor, 3-axis gimbal camera. It's literally like this big. I mean, it's sitting over there. it's cool. And this was the first time I shot with it today. This will be the first video that I've ever made with it, which like makes me a little bit nervous. But I purposely came out here without my DSLR because I want to like force myself to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'll make it work, and it may need some tweaking to like fine tune how to really fit it into my workflow. But if I can film videos that people are still stoked on the way they are right now with me filming with my expensive ass gear,
Mm-hmm.
if I can do it with something that literally fits into my pocket, I would be so stoked.
Well, and there was a lot of stuff like you mentioned where we're under the van in tight spaces that you'd never be able to fit your big camera in there.
Yeah, it actually worked out perfectly for that. Dude, I'm so jealous of like there are these really, really successful YouTube channels that like a lot of people know who these guys are, and they film their channel videos for millions of subscribers with an iPhone. And I'm so jealous of that because they never up their quality to like have their audience expect high quality cinematic stuff. Like they're just walking around with a cell phone.
Whistling Diesel.
He has an actual camera guy.
Does he now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure early on he started with
I
something
mean, I
like
just
that.
remember in some of his earlier videos, he's like, "Yeah, we just have like 5 iPhones. We just
Yeah.
film everything with iPhones."
Yeah, I think most of his stuff nowadays, because I met Cody Whistling Diesel and his camera guy at a like YouTube event thing that we went to, but I think Cletus McFarlane,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he films everything
Hell yeah, brother.
with an iPhone.
He's
like,
got it,
dude, and like he's super successful and all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he probably has a couple phones because you need the storage space and the battery and everything. But
Sure.
man, I'm jealous of that. Like just a pocket camera. So
Yeah.
that's what made me kind of try this thing out, and hopefully it works out. I mean, I'm gonna edit tonight or tomorrow, and we'll see how it looks.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it looks, because for me, I'm not doing YouTube for a full-time gig by any means, but it's a tool for me, a marketing tool.
Definitely.
And we were talking like, hey, what do I need to do next? What's the next purchase when it comes to gear to up my game when it comes to my content? Like, do I need to get a fancy video camera? What, a drone? What is it? And you're like, dude, I think maybe it's this. It's like a $650 camera that fits in your pocket.
Yeah. If you're like, if a random person asked me like, oh, what should I buy? I would just say, use your cell phone.
Yeah. I think spending time learning how to edit is probably the biggest value.
That's good too. Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned that. I talk about this specific thing on a lot of different podcasts when it comes to like talking about this specific thing, but to summarize it, and stop me if I've already talked about this, but someone who's intermediate at, say, in this case, video, they're worried about the gear. Let me get the best camera. Let me get a drone. Let me get microphones, all this shit. Someone who's an intermediate, they're learning their craft more. They're going to be focused on the technique. So like right lighting, is the audio level correct? Am I shooting this correctly with the right camera settings and everything? Which is good to know too.
Did you push the record button?
I hope we did. And then there's a professional. So like I'm at the professional level now. I'm really focused on what is the actual end result. Am I telling a good story? Is it consumable? Are people getting value out of it? Are they being entertained? So a lot of people, when they're trying to get into a new hobby, and we're all guilty of this. I've done it. I'm sure you've done it too. You do a ton of research because you want to get into filming a video, and you're like, I got to get the best camera. This guy shoots on this camera, so I'm going to buy that.
Yeah.
And
Got to get it red.
yeah, dude, I went down that route too. I didn't buy a red, but when I was like kind of in that phase, I'm like, man, it would be so cool to shoot on a red one day, until you realize the workflow that goes into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck that. You need a massive, powerful computer to move those files around, and the workflow is just insane. And then people on the intermediate level, they're like, I'm really trying to work on this technique and get the lighting right and all this stuff, which it's important. Like that's how you really hone your craft. But the end result is like, what are you actually producing? Are you telling a good story? Are people engaging with it? Are they entertained? Which is why it's so cool to see people with super successful YouTube channels filming on an iPhone.
I think about the channels I like to watch. They're iPhone channels for the most part.
Yeah.
Cletus McFarlane, Whistling Diesel. I guess if I'm real high and want something super dumb to watch,
Super
I still think we need to get a van on his show to get destroyed. That'd be great.
I mean, he would do it.
He would do it.
Yeah.
But And
Dude,
then
Matt's off-road recovery. He
yeah.
films everything with like a GoPro.
Diesel Brothers. Like they
Yeah, I
probably
don't
have
really-
real cameras, I'm guessing. But again, it's not real polished. It's not scripted. It's pretty organic. I like that.
Yeah.
Those kind of shows.
Yeah, because it's more. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate a Peter McKinnon video, super
Yeah.
cinematic, and like the reason that works for him is because like that's what he talks about. He talks about cameras and how to use them, and he's a photographer,
He gets
videographer.
into the weeds on the editing and the special effects and all that.
It's weird to me when I see a channel about like something not even closely related to cameras, and then it's like super cinematic. It's like it's cool that you do that, but is that necessary?
So I probably shouldn't go super cinematic with my van videos.
I wouldn't, because
Yeah.
you know how much time that's gonna take you,
Oh,
and then
dude.
it's like it's diminishing returns.
I know how much time it takes me to put up what I put up. you
Yeah,
know, and
and what you put up just the other day has 500,000 views, and it was
yeah.
a reel that you like. You didn't realize the audio didn't last the whole thing, and it's like crushing
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it really comes down to diminishing returns. Like I kind of wish I never upped my quality to the point that it's at right now. Like my quality, like I kept getting new gear and learning how to use it better and stuff like that. I'm happy with where it's at now because the more I learn about this new gear that I'm getting, the more my workflow lags behind, but then I catch up to it.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's some nerd stuff for you there, if anyone's into that. Business and cameras and all that.
Yeah. Well, at least we didn't nerd out about tools too much. There's that. That was in your video.
Yeah, I can't wait to edit that.
Jeez.
Tim went off on a rant talking about Snap-on. Like, this is why... And then he's, like, cuts himself off mid-sentence. Why the
they
fuck
ain't
am I...
paying me?
Yeah.
I'm paying them.
Why am I talking about Snap-on so much? But...
Yeah. It makes a difference. When you use something every day, you want it to be a tool, whether it's a camera or whether it's a ratchet or an impact gun or whatever it may be. You want it to make your job easy and a pleasure to do.
Yeah.
I
Makes sense.
think actually, didn't Steve Jobs use a line like that at some point where he said when it came to phones, he wanted it to be a joy to use? I think those are the words.
That sounds
He
like
wanted
Steve
to
Jobs,
make it
yeah.
a joy to use. Which I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like what I just said relating to what you do and tools. It would be like, okay, so someone wants to be a mechanic and they're like, oh, I got to buy Snap-on. All the good guys use Snap-on. And they spend like way too much money on these tools that they don't know how to use.
Yep.
And then, okay, they're starting to learn how to work on stuff. And then they're like hyper fixated on like getting everything absolutely perfect and like learning about all this stuff. And then generally in their day-to-day, if they're just a service tech mechanic, they're doing oil changes and shit. So once you get up to that pro level, it's like, okay, I could really do this job very simply with the knowledge I have with Harbor Freight tools.
Yep.
I didn't need to spend all this time and money buying all these tools and like doing all this extra shit.
Yep.
But I mean, that progression though also leads to where people get to. Like I was buying cameras that I probably shouldn't have bought early on, but I started pretty modestly and kind of worked my way up. I don't think I ever spent like too much money on a camera and then didn't learn everything about it to use it to its potential. So I don't know. It's an interesting topic, I guess.
I think like everybody that starts working for me, I don't require them to have their own tools initially. Like within the first month, you're expected to have your own basic set that does 90% of what we do. If it's a specialty tool, I'll provide that. You can use that.
That's fair.
But,
yeah.
For the first month, use what I have and see what you actually need, and then you need to get your own stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'll buy a tool box for you to use while you're here. I mean, I'm going to keep it if you leave, but you need to buy your own tools.
Dude.
But I tell everybody, like, and Will is a prime example. He's got all of his own personal tools at home. He does a lot of work on cars at home that he builds and sells and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a toolbox here that I bought, and he's completely outfitted it with like 90% stuff from Harbor Freight.
Yeah.
Harbor Freight, Home Depot. And he doesn't mind using them. And if it's a specialty tool, he'll use mine. But 90% of the stuff he needs is in that box. It works flawlessly. There's
Didn't break
no
the
issues.
bank.
If he breaks it, he goes and gets a replacement because it's lifetime warranty.
Yep.
Didn't break the bank. He probably has less than $1,500 in that toolbox.
Yeah.
And we were actually laughing the other day because I bought him a Snap-on 1/2-inch drive torque wrench, like
the
digital
most
torque wrench
expensive
with
tool in his box.
all the bells and whistles and all that, because everybody had been using my torque wrenches.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was tired of it. I was like, hey, dude, thank you for everything. Here's a torque wrench. This is yours. This is yours to keep.
Nice.
And he looked at it and he's like, holy shit, this is the nicest tool I own.
That's
It's like,
awesome.
this is worth more than most everything in that box. It's pretty funny. But
Dude.
you don't have to buy the crazy expensive stuff to do a good job.
Right. Someone just gave me shit about my tool choices recently. I'd made a video of putting my Kimbo camper on the back of my truck.
Yeah.
And they have these jacks that it has a manual like hand crank, so you can crank the leg down to the ground, lift the camper up, or it has a like a bit that you can put into a drill.
Sure.
So I grabbed a drill out of the garage, go over there, film the video.
Ryobi?
Yeah.
Fuck, bro.
Yeah, see that? And I get it. I understand the slander towards companies like Ryobi and DeWalt and whatever. A lot of the people are like, oh, Makita's better or Milwaukee's better. You're a Milwaukee guy.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. But I have maybe 5-10 power tools. I've got like a multi-tool oscillator. I got grinder. I got impact, this and that, whatever. Fucking use those things maybe 2 to 4 times a year on like different things, depending on what I'm working on.
And they work flawlessly when you need them. It's
And if it fucking breaks, I'll go buy another $20 drill.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to spend $200 on a Milwaukee.
We have like 50 of them.
Yeah. Don't
And
get
we
me
use them
wrong
every
though.
single day.
When I come here and I get to use your Snap-on tools or your Milwaukee stuff, I'm like, damn, this shit's fucking nice. But I know that I don't use this stuff every day, so I'm not going to go out and spend my money on it. And then same thing with like my mechanic sets that I have like in all my vehicles. It's generally Husky stuff because that's what Home Depot sells, and it's fucking fine. It does everything that I need, and if it breaks or if I lose a bit or something, they have a warranty. You just get another bit out of your set. And
Well, we're making a toolkit specific to the vans.
you guys are?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
sick.
We're going to pre-assemble. It'll be in like a Pelican-style case that'll fit into a cargo box, like a large cargo box. It'll fit in there.
Have all the weird
Pull
like,
it out, and it has
torque
all the
bits.
weird torques, e-torques,
Yeah.
all the weird shit that you need to work on their Sprinter within reason, right? So where you can do most of your trail side repairs with YouTube and this toolkit to get you out of a bind.
Sweet.
So we're assembling these kits, and then we'll have a foam cut for it and everything. So it's all self-contained, and it's just boom. You put it in your box and you forget about it until you need it. But I went back and forth on this, like, oh man, what do I put in this kit?
Snap-on.
Yeah, I mean, because you can easily sink like thousands of dollars into a small box with Snap-on stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, people don't need Snap-on. People are not going to use this all the time, but is it an issue using Harbor Freight tools? But the reality is that it's a lifetime warranty, and also my techs use those tools every single day to work on these vehicles. So I know they're good enough for that. I know the quality is there for that. So I don't think there's going to be an issue with it. And ultimately, we ended up going with the Harbor Freight tools that have the lifetime warranty. So if people have an issue, the Icon or the no, it's like
Pittsburgh.
I think Pittsburgh has a lifetime warranty. Quinn has a lifetime warranty as well.
Okay.
There's a few brands that have that warranty. So going with that, and it's not going to break the bank. Obviously, there's a lot of tools, a lot of kind of weird tools that you wouldn't get in just a standard kit that you grab. And that's the issue, is that people might go buy a standard tool kit at Home Depot or off Amazon, and it doesn't get you far on the van, because where are you going to get a T25, T27, an E10, a torque wrench that reads Newton meters, or like whatever weird thing you need.
I have like a general, I don't know, like 100-piece set Husky kit, and I put it in like a tool roll and everything. I have that in the van. But then over the years, when things would break, I'm like, shit, well, I need like this like weird specialty Mercedes kind of specific thing.
Right.
So go to Harbor Freight and just buy like a T. What was the T to take off the front drive line? It was like a 50.
Yeah, T55, I think.
55 is big.
Yeah.
So I went to
Harbor Freight.
and bought that, and I was like, okay,
I'm not
cool.
gonna lie, I think mine are maybe Husky, but for some of that stuff,
Yeah.
Harbor Freight's great.
At the end of the day, tool's a tool to get the job done. If it gets the job done, cool. Like I don't care. But when you use a snap-on twisty head ratchet, those are nice.
It's fresh. It's
Those
nice.
the neon yellow handle ones.
High vis yellow.
Yeah. After like Tim has graciously allowed me to dig through his toolbox to do some things on my van, and that's probably my favorite snap-on tool. If I bought anything snap-on, it'd be that.
Yeah. Oh man, I have a problem with like buying ratchets just because they're sexy. And, like the fucking Snap-on guy knows it too, because he comes in every Thursday, and I'll see the truck roll by. I'm like, God damn it, here we go.
You got some weird, obscure shit too.
But when you need that weird one-off thing, like
Yep.
I got it.
Oh, dude, the one super grippy pair of pliers they make.
Oh
that
yeah,
we were using
you can
to
pick
pull
up you can pick up a nickel that's laying flat on the table by grabbing
the top lip
the top
edge.
lip edge of it
Yeah.
with these pliers. Yeah.
I use those to pull I think we were pulling the fair lead through the front of my pulling the cable through the fair lead with the wire wrapped around it.
Because you had to wrap the synthetic line around your winch. So we
Yeah.
were like seating the line in your actual winch
And I'm like
drum.
gripping a normal size pair of pliers on a little piece of like what's that wire called?
It's like a safety wire.
Yeah.
Or something.
And I'm putting my full body weight on it, not even like death gripping, just like normal kind of grip, like pushing on the bumper of my van to pull this thing through. And dude, like no other pliers would do that. So I get it. I get the appeal of the nice shit too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
But after a while, I'm like, hey guys, you gotta go get your own tools.
Yeah.
If I go down there and like my ratchets are not right where I'm moderately OCD, I'd say, maybe. I don't know.
If they're like flipped upside
But if they're
down
like
or
in the wrong spot, or I've got like, I can't read the stamping on the socket size, like there's a problem.
that drives me nuts too.
Yeah, so like a month of that with Darren, who you'll meet tomorrow. I go to Will and I'm like, Will, Darren's got to use his own fucking tools. There's no other way around it. So he's like, all right, Roger that. I'll pass on the word.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. How long have we been going?
I don't know, dude. Couple hours. What do we got?
2 hours 15 minutes ish.
Damn, nice, dude. That's way too long for a podcast, I've been told.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We could sit here and talk all
Bullshit
night,
forever.
which we will, but I think that's good.
It's good for the pod. Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, man.
And being in the new studio. This is rad.
Hopefully you can use it some more.
I think the audio is going to be good in here because we have all the sound deadening I put up specifically for the podcast. But honestly, when I come in here to work during the day, it's so nice having that sound deadening, and I can shut the blackout curtains. Like I can just completely get in the zone.
Yeah. Put a little music on to really drown out like anything else happen outside.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, this is rad.
Cars everywhere. Yeah,
I love
my McLaren. I mean, I haven't quite pulled the trigger on it yet, but
Is this what is that? Not a Senna. What is it? I don't know. Oh, damn, called
cool.
you out.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's like whatever McLaren race car. It's sick.
It's sick. Someday, I'd like to go back to the racetrack and play around again. I used to do it on bikes all the time, but now I think with the car projects I've got, I'd love to go take the car and cruise around on the road course. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I was meaning to get my Supra to, I guess like High Plains would be one of the closest tracks, and I've never been to a proper racetrack like for like open lapping days. I used to be big into autocross when I had like my old Subaru and stuff like that, so I'm comfortable in that environment because I know it. But I'm hesitant to go to a track by myself, so I was trying to sync up with my buddy who's big into track days and stuff like that, and we couldn't make it work this year, but I think next year I'm going to hopefully get the Supra out to a proper track and get some laps in.
Have your wallet ready.
Dude, need a tire sponsor.
You'll be like, tires, need bigger brekes now. Just a rabbit hole. That's why I don't go to the track with the motorcycles anymore.
Oh, dude,
I'll
gotta
go to
take
motocross
two
track,
sets of tires.
Oh, dude, it's so much fun. But yeah, I raced for a lot of years, and I spent every single dollar I made on racing.
It's a black hole. It just never ends.
They say road racing makes like a heroin addiction look like a vague craving for something salty. I think is the quote.
Is that worse than racing motocross?
Oh yeah,
Is it more
money
expensive?
wise for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I see some of the, like, one of my buddies growing up used to race somewhat kind of amateur professionally. I don't know. And dude, just like seeing their trailer set up and
Yeah.
all the bikes and the rebuilds and parts and shit that they had to go through, I was like, fuck. Like, this is a money pit.
I got out of road racing, took like a 2-year break, and then got into supermoto, which is basically asphalt and dirt on a dirt bike with, slicks, 17-inch tires, things like that. And I was like, this is awesome. This is so cheap. Like, I can buy a new set of tires every weekend. I can buy race fuel, and I never have to worry about money because it's so cheap. And I remember racing supermoto and putting in the best race gas and like having all the best of the best stuff, thinking this is incredible, and people were bitching about how much money they were spending, and I was like, dude, y'all need to try road racing. Like, my last nationals road racing, I went and raced at it was Miller Motorsports Park at the time, Utah Motorsports Campus now,
Okay.
out there in Tooele, and it was just the AMA Pro National. So I was just racing super sport, like I had a pro license racing super sport, so nothing crazy, not like we were racing super bike. I wasn't building a super bike, we just had a super sport.
You're riding like a
600cc R6.
600 R6. Okay.
Yep. And I was like, hey, I need a tire allocation because tires are absolutely critical. You gotta have good tires.
Yep.
And the weather was good, so I didn't buy the reins because you could buy like, I think your allocation was like 3 fronts and 2 rears for reins.
Okay.
And then you have a limit to how many tires you can buy for the weekend at a national, and they like track the tires, so you can't have one guy just spending all the money, right, and having a fresh set of tires every time he hits the track. So there's got to be some parity there. So I just bought the slicks, just the dry allocation. I wrote a check to Dunlop for like $2,250 just for tires for one weekend.
Were you riding Q3s?
No, they were the oh shit, what the hell were they called? They weren't like the Q3 or Q2. It was like the more race version.
Like the more slick, like proper race stuff.
They still had to be somewhat DOT because it was a super sport class, but they have they had a tire that was more race oriented.
Okay, gotcha.
Kind of go the distance, as opposed to like a Q2 would get pretty hot and a little greasy at the end of a race.
Okay.
But I just remember like writing the check for that, and then the check for the entry fees, and like fuel, and suspension refresh, and all this stuff. And
shit adds up.
Yeah, a weekend is just like lighting $1,000 bills on fire.
I'm glad. I mean, I enjoy those hobbies and stuff like that. Like autocross is not expensive, so that was pretty easy. You're not burning through tires or anything like that. But it's kind of like going back to the gun thing. Like, that shit's expensive. That's an expensive hobby if you do it consistently. Same thing with racing. Like, racing, so fun. Like, you don't get that feeling many other places. But yeah.
I don't like road racing motorcycles. I think there's nothing that I've done in life that compares to that kind of rush.
Yeah.
Drugs, sex, nothing. Like, there's nothing that I've experienced that's like that.
Yeah.
That's why it was so hard to leave that. But man, you pay for it.
Yeah. Well, on to
I'm going to go build some really exciting vans tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm going to go edit some exciting videos.
Exciting videos of me working on your van.
I'm going to shoot some stuff tomorrow too. Some reels and
it'll be a good time.
Probably a bunch of photos and things like that.
It'll be a good time. I think we'll probably get the wiring banged out in your van first thing, then let Carl go heat cycle it, or let you go heat cycle it for another drive, then bring it back and do the struts. Be good.
Cool, man.
Stoked to get that project wrapped up. It's gonna
Me too.
be a pretty dialed in van, really.
Yeah. I mean,
and I've been trying to get you out here to do the locker for a long time.
Yeah, we talked about it the week I was out here for that big long week.
Yeah.
But by the end of it,
you were like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if I need a locker.
Well, I didn't know until I saw you climb that hill at Van Wild, and I was like, damn, okay. Like, that looks fun. I would like to try that in my van. But, I mean, we were burning the candle at both ends that week.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Working from
a lot of hours.
7:30 to 11 o'clock at night, and then going to Applebee's, and then doing it again the next day.
We didn't go to Applebee's tonight, dude. That's It's like a first. We haven't
Yeah,
been to Applebee's.
Tim cooked some steaks tonight. They were delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
Bachelor life right here.
Yeah,
Steaks and reheated spaghetti.
spaghetti was good too.
And leftover green beans.
Green beans were good.
Fuck
It was
yeah.
all good. Can't complain.
Yeah, I got all the food groups. They're good.
Yeah.
Wine.
And wine, fruit.
All right, bro. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch
Do
you
it
on the
again
next
tomorrow.
one. All right.
Later.